What is up, everybody? Welcome to another day here at the KSL. I'm Tasteless. Joined with me is Young Rapid.
That's right.
Yes, Artosis is doing Home Story Cup in Germany.
Yeah.
We say hi to everybody out there.
He probably has shorts on right now, man.
Probably.
Oh, jealous.
Where it is freezing here in Korea right now.
It is. We've got our own little hot packs.
We do.
You now have to juggle twice as many as before.
I know. And I think one of these hot packs they gave me, I might be wrong, but some of these have like how do you say this? Like a menthol. I'm used to be a smoker, so I want to say menthol. It's like cold, but it's also hot. I think that's what this one is here, too.
I wonder if that makes them colder. I don't know. We're going to see.
We are hot packed up here. We're ready. I'm going to be rubbing it on me as the games go on.
Finally, these extra thick jackets can keep us warm. What do you think is going to happen today, Tasteless?
I think it's going to be an amazing day. It should be a day of very long games. It's hard to say who's going to move on in both of our best of sevens.
Yeah, they are best of sevens, so super long games potentially. If we go all the way to 2 7-game series, I guess the games will be good, but also it could run pretty late because we're starting a couple hours later than we usually do.
Yeah, that's right. So we're starting this best of 7 in just a little bit here, but when we go to the next one, unless we get behind schedule, which is possible, I think not as likely, but it is possible, we'll be starting the next best of 7 at 8 o'clock, or 8 p.m. KST here.
Right.
And so for some perspective, for the global viewers, it's 5 p.m. KST right now.
Right. So we've got 3 hours for the first best of 7, and then maybe 3 hours for the second best of 7. I don't know.
Well, it's possible, man. I mean, Brood War, especially best of 7s, can go on for a really long time. Both PvZ and TvZ can get into situations where it's just very hard to end the game.
Yeah, especially on some of our bigger maps that have like 15 bases on them. It's like, well, this might take a while if they get split in half and neither player wants to make a move.
That's right, exactly. So conversely, we could have some extremely short games, especially in the matchup PvZ. Now, Zero, going into our first matchup, he's a player that is kind of the everything Zerg.
Yeah.
He really is able to do cheeses, do a lot of tactical play with Lings early on against Fast Expand. He's able to do Hydra Bus. He's able to do Zerg Airplay. He's also able to just macro up, take the map, turtle with lurkers, use defilers.
Yeah.
Rain. Oh, I'm sorry. Please
I was just going to say, Zero's the whole package. This guy is on the forefront of specifically ZVP, so he's got some of the best builds out there when it comes to killing Protoss players. The only problem is the Protoss player he has to kill is kind of the best player in the world right now.
It seems like it. And the thing with Rain that stands out to me more than any other Protoss player that I watch is that he comes in there with a very specific build, and it almost always works.
It seems inevitable.
He seems to have a better understanding of how to plan versus any race, any player with a race Protoss than I've ever seen. Because a lot of times you'll have an idea in a PvZ, like I'm going to try to get a DT and get some Corsairs out, try to harass.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get a Reaver out after my Corsairs and do a drop. But usually it becomes more of an engagement and a trade-off. With him, it tends to just work.
It just kills the guy.
It tends to win, yeah.
This kills the Zerg player.
Yeah.
I do want to see some back and forth games. I would feel a little bit bad if it's just like Rain stomping over everybody. But
I don't think we're going to have that.
Yeah, I don't think any of our players you can really totally count out because they each have such strong individual strengths that got them here. You got to give them a lot of credit.
Absolutely. Going into the TvZ here, Soma, obviously a really exciting player to have here now.
Yeah, our first really talented amateur player to make it deep in a tournament.
Yeah, and we've had a couple Zergs that have risen up. Action has been an exciting narrative for the past 3 years, but we have another one here with Soma. We've already seen the birth of a lot of incredibly good Protosses that are not the Protosses from the past.
Yeah.
Not that Bisu and Stork aren't looking good, but honestly, players like Mini, players like Rain, who was in StarCraft 2, successful for some time, these players doing, or Snow, I should say, as well. These guys doing really well. It seems like we're having the same thing happen now with these Zerg players.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of new Zergs come in here with their own play style.
Yeah, I will say it's a big difference from last KSL, which was all 4 of those great Protoss players you mentioned in the top 4. And we're like, well, this is just a very strong race. Now, Rain is the only player who's made it to all 4 KSL round of 4s. So this guy is no joke. He keeps on performing to the very top of our expectations, and now we have to see if any other players can match him because it just doesn't seem like anything can scratch this guy.
Well, it's very difficult to be consistent, especially in StarCraft 1, especially in the formats that we've had in some of these tournaments. You look at ASL, there are actually most of ASL is very unforgiving. So the fact that we've seen him do this well, KSL was also a real grind in the opposite direction, where you really actually had to be top tier. He's succeeded in that format as well. So
you just got to come for the long haul.
As good as Zero is, I think most people might be expecting a Rain victory here. Maybe that's my bias kicking in. I'm not sure. But again, Zero is a very good player, and the only thing he's struggled in as of late is ZVZ. And he doesn't have to worry about that, at least for now.
That's right. I do like that we have basically as perfect balance as far as racial distribution is concerned. We get a little bit of everything today. I will say that we've got a lot of specialists, so I'm super excited to see how they do in their specialist matchups.
Yeah, we're going to be getting very close now into bringing our players into their booths and hopping in to this match here. Again, it's a best of 7. So you really have to have the complete and entire range of builds. I know in Brood War there's a lot of comeback mechanics, especially because the more ahead you get, the more you have to juggle. But at the same time, this is a lot of games to get information on your opponent, to see how they're playing, to see whatever ticks they might have. So I'm so excited for today's games. I think this should be a close match. I think it will probably go to Game 7.
I do hope that we get at least one Game 7. I will say, if Rain just goes Super Saiyan, like we all know he can do, probably going to be difficult to kind of stop that running train, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible. Again, Zero has introduced a lot of new concepts here in ZVP that are making ambiguity for the Protoss a real issue. It's very hard to tell, especially with the way he's doing this drone balancing act, how... if the Protoss can identify when aggression is coming and when it's not. We're also seeing a lot of these mid-game pushes with Hydras come in and roll you over. We're going to take a quick look at the bracket now, just so you can see how this tournament's actually developed. So here we are. It was Zero versus Mini. Zero with an outstanding performance there. Rain versus Snow, which actually was a great PvP.
Yeah, started off with Snow winning. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was worried we'd all overhyped Rain a little bit. And, of course, then he came back and he kind of did the clap back. But setting up for this semifinals, I think this is basically the best semifinals we could have asked for.
Oh, absolutely. And it's got so many different story arcs going on here, because you see Zero. Obviously, he's been a phenomenal Zerg player. He's going up against the most consistent player in the last 2 years here in StarCraft Brood War. You've got Soma, the... I guess in a lot of ways the rookie here of the tournament, but it's very cool to ever have a rookie get into top 4, and he's beaten so many good players to get here. And then you have Light, somebody who has been successful in many tournaments but does not win them.
That's right. Light has sort of been the heir apparent for a long time, but he was always so good at PvZ, but never quite as good as at the other matchups. But now he's really shored up his play. He's been getting a ton of coaching from Flash lately, and you can really see that he's on a major upswing.
You can also see that in the past he had a hard time picking the right build orders. He would struggle in best of 5s and best of 7s specifically. And this is something that does happen to some Brood War players, even the very good ones, is there's so many little nuances and things you got to do. They end up having maybe 1 or 2 or 3 really solid builds. Let's take a look at our players now, but we'll be packing that Light Soma match a little bit more. First and foremost, on to Zero versus Rain.
Now, don't look at that 44% too closely, because that is just in KSL and ASL. Obviously, Zero is a player that plays very prolifically in basically every StarCraft tournament out there. So in a lot of the other online streamer tournaments, and even in other offline tournaments that aren't considered here, he's been doing extremely well. And along with Soma, can be considered the top 2 Zerg players in the current era.
Right. And specifically in this matchup, so good at navigating the early game. We should see a very, very balanced amount of technical rushes and all-ins, and also macro play, late game play. I do want to watch and see, specifically with these 2 players, will Zero try to do a mass Hydra push? We've seen a lot of players, even when they have Templars, they get run over, which, by the way, for about, I would say, 16 to 17 years of StarCraft history, you would think you would never be able to run over a Zealot Templar player with mass Hydra, even with cannons there. And we're seeing now that that can happen. We've seen virtually every player lose a game at least in competitive format to this. I want to see if Rain has a real answer for this. Is it going to be perfect Templar placement? Is he going to be avoiding Zealot Templar, or is it going to be something entirely different? And does Zero opt in for this, or is he going to try to play a different type of ZVP, which he certainly could?
Yeah, well, any type of PvZ that Rain wants to play, I think is going to be the right kind. He has a 60% win rate against Zerg, which is ludicrous right now. I cannot wait to get into our maps. And actually, I'm not sure exactly which maps we're going to be playing in, because earlier our players did a pick and ban. And I'm really excited to see that, because another reason we might be getting a longer series is because the loser of the game will actually pick the next map, and you can do a lot of crazy things with our map pool this season.
That's very true. We will have to wait, and see what exactly is going to happen. We do know that map number 1 is Neo Sylphid.
Oh, that's right.
And this is a map where I think it can go either way in PvZ. I think there's a lot of different ways that both sides can open.
Yeah, and I will say Neo Sylphid is a map where, even though it is rotationally symmetrical, not all the bases are created equal based on how easy it is to harass your opponent and where you spawn in relation to your opponent on the 3-player map. So I like that we're kind of mixing it up, and it's also a little bit less prone to be split in half for really long games, too.
Very true, yeah. Our players are now, Rain's in the lobby. We're still waiting for Zero here. We're expecting a lot of fast expanding games from Rain, but there is the very unorthodox approach to this matchup, whether that be 1 base gas, 1 base, 2 gating here. Okay, both players are now into the lobby. Let's do this. Zero versus Rain. Game 1 starts now in this best of 7. Oh, man.
On Neo Sylphid.
On Neo Sylphid in the game, StarCraft Remastered. Sorry, guys, we're tethered to the Korean stream. I think they're ready. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we have Zero here in the lower left and Rain in the bottom right. It is a 3-player map. It looks like the Overlord is going to be going in the correct direction. This is standard scouting patterns in ZVP. You tend to scout over where the player's first expansion would be, assuming that, let's say, they respond in the bottom right. It gives you an earlier scout there.
Zero
from Australia.
Wow, yeah. It's Hoju, so welcome. You picked a good time to come watch StarCraft, because not only is there today's matches, the semifinals, but also the grand finals, of course, happening next week. So
that's right.
Lots of cool StarCraft as we wrap up the year. Yeah,
this is the last StarCraft anything that's going on, I believe. I'm sure there's some smaller tournaments, but as far as studio space being, hold on. Okay.
Wait a second.
I was actually looking at you, Rat, but I wasn't watching when that probe came out there.
Maybe if I hide my pylon behind a tree, you won't see it.
Why is he hiding that behind the tree? So, this can be very problematic for the Zerg. It is holdable. We have to see what opening the Zerg's going to choose. Now, a lot of Zergs tend to go for what we call overpool.
Yes.
And if this is a 9-9 gate, which I think it might be, it can also be a 9-10 gate.
Well, 9-9 gate is dirty. It's about the earliest, most horrific. In fact, 9-9 gate in your opponent's mineral line is called a horror gate. But this is pretty horrific for a Zerg, especially if they go for that safe overpool opening.
Right. And the overpool opening basically stops cannon rushes first and foremost, making them basically undoable at all in the game. It allows you to also put a little bit of pressure on and also deal with a 1-gate pressure build. But 9-9 gateway, in other words, 2 gateways made immediately, can cause a problem because the Protoss has 2 Zealots coming out at a time. The Zerg has 2 Lings coming out at a time. Granted, the Lings are made a little bit more quickly. This can start to snowball. This can get out of control very quickly here for the Zerg.
Now, another thing is that you have to be able to ascertain what your opponent is going for. So for Zero, he needs to either use his Scouting Overlord or this drone scouting. And look at this perfect scouting direction. He sees the 9-9 gate. Zero knows it's panic mode.
Yeah, now, I don't know what's in the eggs. Okay, these should be Lings.
If they're not, he is in so much trouble.
This is the problem, right, is that if you don't see the workers, you don't see the gates right away, there's a possibility there's drones hatching. And we have the first Zealot coming in here.
Now, what's the right way to handle this as a Protoss player? Because you already have a huge aggressive potential, but you have to actually deal the damage. So what do you want to avoid?
Well, what you want to avoid is getting the Zealots really isolated here. The Zealots need to actually stick together. You know, when you see those one-gate builds where they're pressuring, you're kind of sending the Zealots everywhere and causing fires. Now, in this time, this is very important, very critical moment. He's sent 4 Zerglings across the map. So he's abandoning possibly keeping this hatchery. He's hoping that he's going to win this in a multitasking fight. The 2 Zealots are going to remain here and continue to damage the hatchery. All the other Lings are headed back towards the main. We see Rain sending some of his Zealots back there now. As long as Rain can handle the rush and not lose too many workers, I think Rain should be in good shape to win this game.
Yeah, it certainly looks like these Zealots are completely uncontested so far. Obviously, the number of Lings needs to be much higher to be able to combat this. But it seems like the Lings are being a little bit indecisive here. Zero tried to go across the map, and now he's actually catching some of the Zealots in the middle.
Yeah, he's trying to isolate these Zealots. If the Zealots are together in unison, they're going to be in good shape. Now, the expansion's gone, but this is a lot of Lings coming down here. There's no Ling speed yet, by the way, not even a gas, so that's still a ways out here.
Uh-oh, now these Lings are getting into the main. Probes are really good against Lings when they glitch through them and go for that drill. There's the probe drill perfectly, but it's actually not glitching out the Lings.
Yeah, well, he needs to have a Zealot there, or the probes will just die within the drill, so he's trying
targeting down that Nexus. It's already below half health, but now he's turning on the probes. So many starting to die.
Yeah, now the Lings are starting to back up here. We have a few more. Now, it's much harder to make this work with slow Lings compared to Speedlings. Speedlings are just a superior unit composition.
Oh, yeah. But it does look like he's getting decent surrounds, but look at the stutter step micro. Nobody does this better than Rain. He's able to get those shots in and keep the Zealots from getting surrounded at the same time.
So, I think that Rain might have held this. I think. Yeah, and this means that Zero's in peril, but we've now bounced this game into a game where it looks like it would have been from like 1999 or something like that, because it's 2-gate against a Zerg on 1 base. Now, the Zerg does have options here. The Zerg is not screwed, but in theory, in modern theory, we would say this is probably a Protoss favorite situation, but Protoss needs to get gas, needs to
find a way to bust out here. This is not going to be a very cost-effective trade. Both of these Zealots will die, but not before they take out a bunch of these Lings on their way.
Now, the Zealots are coming back here. It's very important for the Protoss that he gets control over the entrance to the main here. 5 Zealots is a lot. I don't know how damaged all these Lings are because there's been so many skirmishes here, but it looks like these Zealots are pretty damaged as well, all very low on shields.
Yeah, and they will finally be pushed back, but just for a little bit, because these gates are still pumping. Like, Rain's not thinking about expoing right now.
He's not stopping. What he wants to do is probably get a cannon in his main, and maybe, just maybe, I'm not 100% on this, but actually get a cannon and a pylon at the entrance of the Zerg space. But with the, oh my god, this has gotten crazy. He's going to get the pylon, and so these Zealots are going to dive in here. I think Zero actually has enough. This is one of the best handlings of a 2-gate I've ever seen from Zerg, by the way. Yeah,
for sure. You can really tell that Zero it's not the first time, but it is actually a very scary position to be in nonetheless. He's doing an okay job, but he still has no expo.
Yeah, that's true, but he's got, I mean, the Protoss doesn't either, and Protoss has no tech.
That's true.
So this is a very low tier, kind of scrappy game. This is a game where everybody's trying to have a balance of power on different parts of the map, and if you're weak on one part of the map in this fight, things are going to fly out of control, and both are in unique positions. Production's in the middle of the map for Protoss, right? So if he loses that, Zerg's in okay state. Zerg has hardly any workers. I would imagine the one advantage that in the long run is going to benefit Rain is Rain should be producing probes nonstop as this game's going on, and that is highlighted in the supply difference and in the sheer volume of probes we see over back at home.
Now, we did just see a big round of drones be made, so Zero recognizes that as long as he can keep the Zerglings out on the map, it keeps the Zealots out on the map too, instead of them running in with 12 Zealots overwhelming that one sunken colony.
Okay, we have another attack in here. Now, these Zealots are getting pretty weak.
But they do have missed chance because of that doodad, the tree. The Zealots can hug the tree, and they have a chance of it. But that's only with range attacks, right?
I think that's only with range attacks.
Yeah.
I don't know that melee units can ever miss. Now, Zealot can have one of its punches hit and not the second one.
Oh, that's right.
Attack, yeah.
Because it's 2 separate attacks, right?
Yeah, there's like 2 sound effects that come out almost at the same time, but it's actually 2 different hits. So them being under the trees is just...
okay, superficial in this case.
It's superficial in this case, but The tree actually does add as sort of like another building, like it's in the way,
right. Yeah.
so that the Lynx can't get a full surround. Now,
Really
speaking of full surround, here's a drone drill coming.
Nice, and the Zealots pull out of the way just in time. That means the drones don't drill, and they are a little bit more vulnerable. Decent surrounds here, but still clogging up the choke point, and Zero can't get all of his Zerglings out there to fight the Zealots.
But I think he's going to break this. I think there's just enough Lynx that he will break through. And now we're getting into an even more exceptionally complex game. So the middle is, it's a ghost town, right? There's nothing you can do with those buildings. They're unpowered. There are literally 5 drones mining minerals. Oof. Now, Rain is rebuilding infrastructure. I guess I should say he's rebuilt infrastructure here at his main. So I don't think these Lynx can kill him, right? I mean, the structural setup is pretty damn good.
Yeah, no way you can get in there and bust those cannons. I mean, he's going to try, and I think he might get one of the cannons.
I think he's going to try to get this cannon and then get the Stargate.
Now, yeah, the cannon in the mineral line doesn't reach the Stargate, so if you can focus this down, your opponent's building Corsairs. He does not have a lot of Zealots.
I don't know who you want to be in this game, by the way. You know what I mean? I guess Rain should be a little bit ahead, but Zerg's now taking a third. Zerg has enough Lings that it's going to be a while before Protoss can produce enough to ever come out on the map. We're going to see what looks like +1 Zealots with legs. Again, this looks like a very old version of a StarCraft 1 game because neither player has an expansion up yet. We see just now Zero trying to go back here, but both these guys have been playing long enough. They should have a pretty good handle on how to navigate a game like this. If you were somebody, let's say that you're like 21 years old and you've been trying to learn StarCraft 1 for some time now, this is a game that's going to be a headache to figure out where you're supposed to go because the tech looks so different. The patterns are so different, but this is sort of what old StarCraft was founded on.
For sure, and Zero is one of the architects of weird Zerg games because he's the best late-game ZVZ player in the world. Nobody else knows that as much as he does. And so when games get weird, I feel like that kind of gives Zero a little bit of an advantage, but his racial disadvantage, having just taken so long to take that expo, is still a big liability.
Okay, the Zealots are starting to push out here. And this, I think, is going to give him room to expand.
Yeah.
It looks like there's enough Zealots. It's probably not worth starting a fight in this area. By the way, Protoss needs to be hyper-vigilant about if layer tech comes in here. Because right now he can continue to scout with just 1 Corsair. He doesn't need to... First of all, he doesn't want to make more than 1 because there's no threat of mutas. And he's probably not going to kill any more Overlords if he gets 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, he already got 2, so that's pretty much mission accomplished for a single Corsair.
So the predicament for the Zerg right now is that the Protoss is getting into Templar tech. Zealot leg speed is going to be, that upgrade is going to be done. And so, here we go. The overall army, as the game progresses, should just be bigger and stronger here for Rain. Zero's probably going to rely on speed Hydras, which you can win games with micro with good finesse.
But it takes a lot of good control there. And you're talking about controlling Hydras against Rain's Zealots with +1 and legs. That is a tall ask for just about anybody. So, and crucially enough, Zero is not trying to get a third base right now. He is sticking on 2, and for a Zerg, that's just not a lot of resources to deal with a Protoss player at this point.
Yeah, again, eventually Zerg will probably try to get a third right now, but if he were to get a third too quickly, the speed Zealots with +1 attack would just come out and destroy him.
Especially if it's that outer third on Sylphid.
Right, yeah.
Very difficult to defend.
Now, I actually think that Zero might have enough Hydras. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, that seems to be the magic number where the Zealots can't actually contest this. By the way, these guys are playing like perfect games up till this point. They have both had to make so many critical decisions.
I don't think I've seen Zero's APM drop below 400 this entire game. He is all over the place, and I love how quickly Rain pulled back there because he realizes if you have that many Hydras, you have not been droning up. So even if I don't deal damage with my units, you still don't have very much on your side of the map.
And look at this. This is so funny. The 1 DT actually will prevent this base from being killed. Maybe he wouldn't be able to kill it anyways, but there's no Overlords in sight, so there's absolutely no possibility of him being able to take a fight here.
Yeah.
We had 3 Zealots break off from the group. I think he was hoping to try to catch anything on the map.
Oh, well, here we go. Leg Zealots running all up on these Hydras. They're trying to run away, but look at how Rain is trying to clump them up against the wall. Now, he doesn't manage to do it, but these Hydras are kind of pariahs way out on the map alone.
Yeah, there's more and more being produced here for Zero, but I think the threat of a further upgraded Protoss army could take this game. Now, when Templars are out, we want to watch and see if the Hydras can snipe them.
Ooh, yeah, for sure. And this DT already getting a lot of damage done, isolating the Hydras from really any detection, letting that DT go wild.
Now we're seeing the second base kick in as more gateways are being produced.
Oh, here we go. Rain running in with his leg lots, all up on the Hydras. The micro's okay, but there's not that much room to pull back. Or does he have enough? The DT is still killing off Hydras in the back, but it looks like Rain might be able to take out that smaller clump.
I cannot believe how good Rain is at keeping this army stuck in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Wow. By the way, he's not missing a beat back at home. We're never seeing more than one idle probe at the Nexus. He's getting this army in the middle of the map separated and whittled down while still keeping pressure on the natural.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's lost a few Zealots here, but the rest of them are completely pulled back. You think this gives Zero enough breathing room to get this third base up and running?
I think he will get it up and running, yes. You know what's funny is this game has been so action-packed, there's been no room for the Zerg to really kill the gates in the middle of the map until now.
I kind of thought Rain was going to repower those with a pylon and start macroing because he's being so aggressive.
And so, this has been such an exciting game to see here. It seems like Zero may be able to escape the push that's going to inevitably come here from Rain, but Rain, I think he's up to 6 gateways. I might be wrong, but I believe that is the number he's at. Yeah, and that is some real muscle coming out, especially if he doesn't miss any beats microing. But we've learned now that really good Hydra control here. You can snipe Templars, you can dodge storms, and if you do that correctly, you might be able to beat the mass amount of Zealots. Now, this number, that's not going to be easy, but still.
That's like 1.5, 2 control groups of Zealots out here,
right.
A lot. And look at how many High Templar and Storms he has already done pushing out on the map.
Now he's moving very carefully. Notice how the Zealots are basically escorting the Templars to an area where they can't be flanked here.
Oh, Storm.
Now, you see how he's really taking advantage of this area specifically as he moves in?
Yeah.
Now we need to have a few more good storms.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's what we were talking about. Now, none of the Templars have actually been sniped here.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's focus firing the Templar down, which is really important to do. The Hydras are pulling back, not that great a storm, but is there enough to defend here for Zero?
Well, he's going to go into Lurkers, but I think there might be enough that he can start to get surrounds in here on the rest of the Hydras, and he can also split these off into different areas, doing damage in different locations.
God, Lurkers take a million years to morph.
Yeah, this is a long time. All right, that's it. GG.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so that was such an impressive game there from Rain. I mean, talk about first of all, a great opening here on this map. But Zero handled it very, very well. Even took out the pylon in the middle of the map.
Right.
Rain handled the balancing act of teching, expanding, and then finally pushing out with this group where he had all the Templars perfectly placed. Again, he went through the third base location for the Zerg.
Yeah.
Not that Zerg had taken that as a third base spot, but the very natural spot for the Zerg to expand would have been that. He pushed through that area so Hydras couldn't hit him from all sides.
Yeah, if you segment the supply chain, it gets a lot more difficult for Zerg. And then you could really tell that Rain was dictating the pace of this game from minute one.
Right.
When he threw down that 9-9 gate, such an aggressive, basically the most aggressive way you can start this game off. And Zero, it felt like even though he was able to kind of stabilize a little bit, he never took charge of the game. Rain always in complete control.
Yeah, now, I wonder what openings we're going to see from Zero from here on out, because remember, that was an overpull.
Yeah.
9-9 gate counters that build pretty well.
For sure.
You get a lot of momentum, and Zero made some very difficult decisions. He actually opted to sack his hatchery in the hopes he would get a lot of worker kills on the probes, which is pretty dope.
That's right.
Didn't work out, but I'll tell you something, man. A lot of players just fall apart at that moment and die.
Yeah, to make the aggressive choice to try to go actually get damage done instead of trying to hold off, I mean, that takes a lot against Rain especially. I don't know, man. If every game looks like that, I'll be happy with this series.
Oh, yeah. Well, Circuit Breakers is going to be map 2. This is a game I would expect Zerg to go for a pretty passive game on.
Right.
Zergs get a lot of bases on this map.
Yeah, thinking like 5-hatch Hydra and then continually expanding after that.
Sure, yeah.
But also for Rain, he wants to build another pylon in the middle of the map. He can keep punishing Zero for going that safe overpool build.
Yeah, he might. For some reason, I don't think he's going to, but maybe he will.
Well, it's harder to find your opponent, I guess.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that I call it a hunch. I think he's going to go for just more macro play. I think he's going to do some kind of expanded a Stargate build, and then we'll see. Maybe just lots of zealots with speed. Maybe not. I don't know. Rain, again, he's very good at selecting the right opening. This is why he's the best PvP player in the world.
For sure.
He's got a very good read on how the opponent's going to play, and he does a good job. Okay, Rain in the upper left, Zero. He also uses the ID Queen. Zero in the upper right.
Yeah, his ID that he's using, QueenTube, is the name of his YouTube channel where he posts a lot of really comprehensive guides. Because this guy is really on the forefront of Zerg invention. A lot of people used to think that Shine, a player that was so close to qualifying for KSL but just barely didn't get in, has a lot of crazy builds. But Queen, or Zero as he was more famously known, really is killing it. Specifically in this matchup, he's pioneering this build called 9734, which is the numbers of drones you're supposed to have at different bases. And it's a build, it's an aggressive Hydra build that is so potent. For a while, it was just killing every Protoss player. Then Rain and a lot of them started to figure out, what do you think is the best counter to these aggressive Hydra options that Zergs are killing so many Protoss with these days?
You're asking me?
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are saying to just go straight into Speed Zealots.
Yep, that sounds good.
And try to put some pressure on. But it's hard. I mean, one of the things about that build is you don't always know. First of all, it's hard to get a read on that exact build unless you can get a worker count at each base, right? From the Protoss. It is kind of hard to figure out exactly what's going on. I'm almost hoping we're just going to get in that situation and then Rain's going to show us. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. Like, we are here to learn. Like,
yeah.
I don't care if you guys are the best experts in the world. Rain's got something to teach everybody, because right now, at least if you're not like at the top tier, it's hard to be a Protoss player versus Zerg these days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, this is why I want to see what happens. By the way, again, it's that was Overpool there.
Right.
Once more. And it looks like it's going to be the Forge opening now.
Yes. Still getting out here to scout the middle of the map, though, for Zero. He wants to make sure he's not going to have take two on that 9-9 gate from game one.
So we might have a cannon rush here. They seem to not work as often, but...
You know, I keep hoping, because I don't think I've ever seen a cannon rush work. Well,
this is the thing. Like, I used to cannon rush a lot. Like, people meme about it now, but, like, at the time... They always worked.
Okay.
You have to understand, like, at that time, because it was so new, people just didn't know what was going on because good players didn't do it. Until you realized, oh, I can, like, wedge cannons in these weird spots. And by the way, I can also play a macro game. So it's not just that I'm, like, a person that wants to attack you with buildings, like, and then go into a macro game and get ahead. But this time around, Rain went for...
Oh!
Damn. That was
sick.
He just went for Forge Nexus Cannon.
Yeah, not playing greedily at all. If you want to get super greedy, obviously you can just throw that in the Nexus first, but then you really got to hold on. And especially if the Zerg scouts it, you're in a lot of trouble. So safe builds on both sides. Finally, we get a chance to see what it looks like when these guys play straight up.
Yeah, so this is what PvZ normally looks like.
So if you're taking notes, then this should be kind of what your games look like for the most part.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you're playing against B Protosses.
I was going to say, actually, you can go even lower than that. Lower tier Protosses are always just making gateways in random spots on the map, because if it's two players of low skill, you can just attack into the other one.
Yeah, it's hard to learn from pro games if you're just getting started with StarCraft, because maybe you have
solid... for all the races, yeah.
That's true.
It's just like, there's dumb stuff you can do with all the races that just will even beat somebody who's actually pretty decent, but probably won't work over and over again.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see what Zero has as his answer to try to come back in this series, because, okay, there's the lair. That's one way to do it. His third hatchery, though, is coming up, so already something we never saw in that last game's opening.
So we have, again, with this layer tech here, this all looks very standard, very par for the course in this matchup.
Right.
We're waiting to see. I'm assuming there's going to be a Stargate, but then what, right? Is it going to be just Zealots with legs? Is it going to be a quick DT? Sometimes they even get 2 Stargates. That's not uncommon as well. You get 2 Stargates and just start really applying a lot of pressure on them, because if they go for a quick Spire opening and they don't have Hydras to cover, sometimes it just snowballs. They start to lose a lot of Overlords. But I feel as though both races are supposed to play as straight up as possible on this map.
Now, if you'll notice, Zero actually, if I'm not mistaken, okay, no, I was checking his third base, making sure that he was still trying to make drones, because I'm watching for those drone numbers, the 973 numbers of drones to kind of tell me if he's going to go for this big early Hydra aggression. And of course, Rain's looking for that too.
Yeah, now we have the Spire here.
Yeah.
So, doesn't seem like that.
Right. And he got a layer 2, so that also tells you he's not going for like the fastest Hydra bust in the world.
Right. But, there's so many Hydra busts of different shapes and colors that I'm never going to count it out fully. Now, there's the first Corsair coming out shortly here. For now, it appears as though we're just going to see the Zerg player drone up. We could see this enter into a 6-hatch, 3 bases, 6-hatch Hydra play with mutas incorporated. This was more popular last year, especially.
Yeah, how is the 6-hatch different from 5-hatch? Because I think 5-hatch Hydra is sort of pretty generic.
Well, 5-hatch, you're probably going to be teching a little bit more. With 6-hatch, you're trying to get a lot of Hydras out, and you want to be able to remake Hydras very quickly, to the point where, and usually what happens is that, and we're still in the early phase of this, but let's say it's 6-hatch Hydra. You'll try to chase the Corsairs out. You'll get a lot of Hydras. You'll get a decent number of mutas. And what you're trying to do is pick off their Templars and just overrun them with Hydras. And you're trying to keep the Protoss on 2 bases forever. And sometimes overrun them. Now, sometimes you have really good Protosses that just take a third, sit back. And you could experience this on ladder where they just keep attacking into you and you just hold everything off, and then you've won the game basically because they don't have a plan.
Yeah, they kind of kill themselves or exhaust themselves trying to get the damage done without doing it.
Artosis was joking about Gateway Man, which was this thing where they hardly teched at all. They just made gateways and played pretty blindly. And a Terran who's just trying to expand pretty normally gets overrun.
Right.
I was joking, this is sort of like Hydra Man, if it is 6-hatch, like we're seeing, where they're just going to make so much stuff.
Yeah, if you got a Z and an H key, I think you're probably okay. But the mutas and the tech switch to mutas is super important, because Zero specifically had that super clutch ZVP that he won against Mini in the quarterfinals from some super crucial muta switches that really caught Mini off guard. And there are the mutas that we were talking about.
So he might try to go in here for an assassinate on the Corsairs. He wants to try to find the Corsairs first. There they are. Now the Scourge are probably going to try to dive in.
Oh.
Okay, he's going to back up instead. So it's pretty straightforward for the Protoss, this part of the game at least. Oh, that's cute. I didn't know that. You could trap a probe in the above that gateway in the natural.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that. So that's good. That's the probe that he has selected inside the control group with the Corsairs. Keep them bunched. A lot of people do it behind the minerals.
I'll tell you, the biggest hallmark of knowing if it's a pro player or not, you just look at their SimCity. Like, guys have the most beautiful bases you've ever seen, especially Terran players, but also, I guess, Protoss as well, trapping that probe up there.
Okay, so we might have a few more mutas out here. This seems like a very odd number. It's 5 right now.
Yeah.
But if we see some more come in here.
And I haven't seen too many Hydras right now either.
Well, the Hydras are going to come in a little bit later.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see players get Hydras and then get the mutas. See, the Hydras are starting now.
Yep.
But he's staying on this. And I think this is 6-hatch. I think I saw 3 hatches in the third base.
Yeah. Oh, DT trying to run in. Good spread of Overlords, sees that coming, but yeah, there is the 6th hatch. So he is really trying to macro super hard right now. Now, all this is designed to stop the Protoss player from ever being able to take a third base right now, or correct?
Yes. I mean, Protoss probably isn't going to try to expand just yet. You want to power, because if you do try to expand,
you're super dead.
This is how you die.
Yeah.
So what Protosses did to solve a lot of this is to just stay back a little bit longer. And then when you really feel like you have everything, like you have enough Corsairs, you have enough Templars. Okay, he's going to try to slip through here on the left side.
Okay.
A little bit of a quicker expand than I thought.
Yeah, but look, Zero already ahead of the game. He's got a Zergling blocking that Expo spot. And so I think, actually, he's got another Zergling at the other third base location.
So we're actually seeing the massive 6-hatch Hydra production now. Now, what's funny about this is, again, it wasn't a lot of mutas. It was like the bare minimum.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's there to generate the illusion of a lot more Mutalisks coming out when it's not really. That's just not a normal number.
Can you like fake a knee-jerk reaction where the Protoss player like overreacts to that?
Yeah, I think that's what we're in some sense seeing here. Now, the Corsairs are continuing to move through the map, just a little bit more roaming here.
Oh, Scourger's so dumb. Oh, he just stopped right in front of him.
What's at the bottom of the map? What is that?
I'm watching that.
I don't know what that is down there.
I think he's actually setting up for either another base. I thought it was the Corsairs, but they're actually at the natural.
I think it's some Zealots or something.
Yeah. I think he split off a few Zealots and might be looking to
okay, it's speed lots.
Yeah, sneak in or stop another base. Okay, he's going to sneak the Zealots in behind the Hydras.
I'm very fascinated with what the plan is here, because it doesn't seem like this is going to do anything.
Yeah, this is SEAL Team 6 down here trying to make it in for some cheeky drone kills, but got caught out underneath an Overlord. Now the Mutas should be able to take these out.
So it takes Zealots a very long time to ever kill.
Oh no, the Probe's sleeping on the job, trying to stop that base from coming up.
I almost wonder if those Zealots were intended to come down there and actually kill a hatchery, because 6 Zealots is a good number to try to snipe a hatch. And you know that their Zerg is probably going to try to take a 4th eventually, and it usually is the main. Sometimes it's the natural.
Well, either way, Rain knows about it now, and it's kind of interesting to me to see what Rain's army movement looks like, because not only did he pull those Zealots back, but he also hasn't ever brought his army totally together to make one big powerful move. It's always like split up, and I guess now finally he's down there in the bottom right to cancel that hatch.
The funny thing about it is that you can't really attack into the Protoss if they've got 2 base and they're powering this hard, right? You're waiting for them to take a 3rd, so he's going to get the deny if he targets correctly with all these Zealots.
Oh, I'm looking at the mini-map. There's so much Zerg coming down here to stop this.
So I think he's going to be able to get that hatchery, I think. And then we're going to have to wait and see. Okay, hold on. Yeah. This was a cute little deny here. Does he get this? He does. Okay.
So which was better there? The cancel
better for the Protoss.
Okay.
Protoss wants this. Because Zerg hasn't actually done that much with a 6-hatch Hydra, because Rain didn't give Zero the opportunity he was looking for. Rain stayed back so long that he's gotten his shuttles, and I believe observers as well out now. See, he's got this shuttle over here.
Okay. Oh, and these Mutas, I mean, they haven't done anything. No Templar snipes. Can't fight the Corsairs.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's pretty incredible what we've seen Rain go for here, which is just like the most non-expand game ever. I know that's a pretty clumsy way to say it, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, he just stayed back far enough.
Oh,
that was a good catch by Zero.
The Hydra hit squad perfectly catches that shuttle. Man, I feel like...
I'm sorry, please go ahead.
No, every other game, ZVP specifically, we've seen Dark Templars get crazy numbers of drone kills. So it seems like Queen or Zero has really tightened up his play against that kind of mid-game style.
And so Protoss slowly pushes out now. Now, there's enough Dragoons and Templars together that you could really take on a lot of Hydras.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you start to see the Zerg player get more supply than the Protoss, you know it's scary to be out on the map.
Yeah, though the Zerg definitely has more supply, but I think the unit composition, depending on where the fights are, might be better for the Protoss here. But let's see.
Trying to come in there, snipe a few probes. Looks like the probes get away safely, but catch out there, see if these Hydras can segment this army. They have to watch out for the storms. Those bridges are deadly. He's trying to snipe the High Templar, gets one.
He does. Yeah, he takes that one out, but it doesn't seem like there's any soft spot here. And you're losing a lot of Hydras as you do this. I mean, you're mostly going to be losing Zealots, which are expendable. Another good snipe.
Yeah.
The Storm does get off, killing some Hydras. Maybe we're going to see Rain rearrange his army into the middle of the map and try to just push in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of these little clumps of Hydras, so if you extend too far, you risk kind of getting caught out. And oh, another nice High Templar snipe. There's not a lot left in this army.
You know, when you have the Templars and you're trying to move around the map with your main army, a lot of times they get so far behind, they end up taking different pathing as you redirect them.
Oh, yeah.
So here we go. Rain is actually pushing. Now, notice how he's being very patient. He pushes out, wins a fight, and then he regroups. It's hard for the Zerg. There are so many
here we go. 10 mutas, sniping High Templars. They get 1, 2, 3 High Templars. There's no more High Templar left in the army.
And there's no Corsairs there. It's why you need to keep the Corsairs alive for these late game pushes, because the Corsairs are meant to protect. Kind of like an Arbiter protects a Protoss' army against Terran, or a Science Vessel protects a Terran army in PvZ.
That's not where those Overlords need to be. Lurkers are out now as well here, so detection becomes a premium. There's only, I think, 2 observers with this army. One might get picked off there in the front. Can't find it.
Okay, so this is a very good position for the Zerg. Keep in mind that...
oh my god, he's still getting High Templars.
This is a great position for the Zerg. Zerg needs to capitalize on this moment and expand to the bottom right quadrant. That needs to happen. It will be hard to contain the Protoss that effectively, though. This high ground area that each side of the map has is very annoying. Zealots can be used like speed vultures to be sent over to the mineral only.
Really nice storms here, but there's still not as many as there would have been if he hadn't lost all of those in the mid game. Now, I'm trying to keep an eye on who's ahead in this game.
I think Rain is playing his position better than Zero is playing his.
Okay.
The Zealots that come in here, this interrupts, reinforcing over here, and he's actually getting really good trades in the middle. It's not a lot of lurkers. So, I mean, it'll depend. I mean, it's very easy for either side to screw this up, right?
Yeah.
You know, a few storms connect with the Zerg's army, or we have a few more Templar snipes here, and it's suddenly hugely problematic.
I will say that Rain is really hitting his stride when it comes to macro. He's got his third base. He's powering on probably 9 gates back in his main, 8 gates.
It's got to be a high number.
Yeah.
That much is for sure.
Because he is almost maxed out right now. He's like 25 supply away. So we are really starting to see Rain really flex those Protoss muscles.
The contain is still present here. Now note how the Hydras are having to go back and protect certain areas, and he's trying to then soften up this area in the middle. It's a very difficult balancing act. It's a little bit easier for the Protoss in this position to move back and forth in between this. And here we go. This is going to be a break in the contain. This is really good here for Rain.
Beautiful storms to start things out, busting through that initial Hydra wall. And man, Rain is, there's just no way Queen can, or Zero can hold up to that.
Yeah, this is pretty astounding what we're seeing here from Rain. He basically juked and jived and played the positional game so much that he's wriggled free. And now he's in the middle of the map here. He'll be getting in the way of rally points here. He has so many Templars.
He can try to snipe that Observer. He actually will get the Observer in the front.
There's a second one already here.
Man, Rain is just so on top of that. That's so hard to do, to keep your High Templar from running in and dying, your Observer's alive. He's able to bust through a lot of this, but it looks like the macro is really good for Zero as well, coming out with infinity Hydras, but just not enough.
Yeah, you can see that Rain is very aware of where each Templar is and how much energy it has. He's immediately able to switch them into Archons. He's doing a good job of remaking the Zealots, which are always the first to die in these fights. He sends that back in there.
Oh my god, this is so tense. Both players trying to deal damage to one another, but it looks like finally Rain has caught too many of these Hydras out on the map.
Yeah, I think he's actually done enough that he can move in here for a closer. Now, that being said, there's not an additional base here yet for Rain. Well, never mind. There is about to be an additional base here for Rain, and I don't know that that can be stopped either.
Rain just looking so solid. Drones now being hemorrhaged to try to keep that base alive. This is where almost all of Zero's production is, and storms like that massacring the drone line. Oh my god.
Another huge storm over here. GG. Okay.
That's it.
Rain is so good. I mean, talk about two completely different PvZs.
Yeah, you hit him with the 9-9 gate in game 1, then you pull back and play a super defensive, ironclad game number 2. I don't know how to stop this guy. How do you...
I don't know. You know, it's funny because he was on 2 bases for so long.
Yeah.
When I was looking at it, I thought, okay, that can't be. This isn't going to work, right? There's no way. But he did a good job. He sent those 6 Zealots to the bottom right, kept Zero stuck in his side of the map, and then he was... Even though he lost the shuttle, he had such a mammoth army.
Oh, yeah.
He's again, his second wave of Zealots went into the natural, the mineral only, which you have unique access to in these spawns if you're both at the top.
Yeah.
And then he kind of moved back and forth between the Zerg defending and trying to contain to where he got the contain to be weak, brittle, soft enough to break free from. And then what he did was, and this is a unique thing to Brood War, he pushed the rally point for the Zerg. The Zerg's rally point is actually out on the close to the middle of the map. If you push that, the amount of resetting that has to happen, the difficulty in rebinding control groups and trying to then re-engage from there. Brilliant closure there by Rain. So Rain up 2-0.
But it's a best of 7, so there's still plenty of time to come back. We are going to come back after a short commercial break here in just a second. So don't go anywhere. We've got a lot of StarCraft coming up as we look to close out this first series. So, yep, we'll be right back.
Whoa, that's how big the Ultra is?
Oh my God. They really do make those things big. We got to get some of those too.
It hurt my foot walking over here. I tripped.
You gotta upgrade tasteless speed.
I can't cast with an injured foot.
Oh yeah, it's connected directly.
Injured hands and wrists, I've done that for years. Injured feet, that's a whole other game.
You ever sing that song as a kid? The foot bone's connected to the larynx
Caster bone.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're going to Fighting Spirit for Game 3. Rain is killing it, man. And Zero, by the way, looks really good. Like, he looks like almost perfect, but Rain is still winning.
It's like in Dragon Ball Z when the good guys level up and they get super powerful, but it's still not enough to beat the bad guy. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's a little bit anticlimactic. Rain is just so good. He plays the early game, he plays the late game. It's like, what can't this guy do?
There's the concept of infinity, but a lot of people know that there's also the concept of infinity plus.
Whoa.
And right now, Zero is infinity, but Rain is infinity plus or +1.
He's got those galaxy. It's like the galaxy brain. It's like, well, you can still be super smart.
Using some Artosis fourth dimension talk here.
Oh, he knows all about that.
I know about the fourth dimension.
Okay.
Our game is ready. Zero vs. Rain continues on. You know that every nerd who watches this to steal builds is like, oh, okay, Fighting Spirit. This is one of the maps I don't have ticked as an X on my map choices.
Yeah, if you're vetoing Fighting Spirit, something's wrong.
Yeah, well, especially if you're somebody who's still trying to learn. So we got to meet these guys earlier, the Indonesian players.
Quantel, and I forget who the other guy is, but great Brood War players and StarCraft 2 players visiting, training for the SEA Games.
This is what I love about I guess just esports in general. It's so international. Like, it's so global. And it's not just global in the sense that everybody plays games. It's that we're all connected on the internet so we can all play with each other. And
I mean, back 20 years ago when you're first starting to play StarCraft, it was really segmented based on like where you could play together.
The connections weren't as good, right?
Oh, for sure.
Even if I played with a European, it was...
You were struggling.
It was just... There are things we couldn't do, but now, the internet's getting stronger and better connected. And so this is cool. So welcome to the studio, guys. Hope you're enjoying the games. Now, this looks like it's going to be Rain opening up with Forge first. We know that because he's scouting after Pylon.
Yeah, and still the same safe opener for Zero.
Oh, no, is this a night? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's Overpool. Never mind.
It is Overpool, so Zero hasn't changed that up. It was really Soma that tried to mix it up a little bit with some 9 pools and 12 hatches, and really kind of mixing it up. But for the most part, I think if we can get both players to start standardly, Zero did look like he was so close at some points in that second game to having really big advantages.
So he gets the early scout off, which is pretty convenient because he knows exactly how to respond to the Zerg. So he's going to get a Forge. He's probably going to halt probes and then get a Nexus and then get a cannon and then probably resume probe production. But if you don't find them immediately, then you have to take into account a lot of other possibilities. Like, did he 4-pull?
Right. Getting that opening build, super important. Although I will say that going cannons as Rain is kind of unusually passive. A lot of times, at least in his quarterfinals games, he would do gateway expand just so that you could be proactive out on the map and at least keep something out there to scout. Because once you lose this probe, it's a dark, scary world out there.
Yeah, that's one thing about when you look at like this matchup in general. Rain really proved, him and Bisu, I think, proved that being active in the Zerg space gives you a different type of control. I mean, one problem, like you were saying, Rapid, with going Forge first is that you're sort of doing your own. You're playing
single
yourself.
player. Yeah.
What you do try to do is send Zealots out once the gateway finishes and try to add pressure on there, but it's much less, I think, impactful. It's much easier if the Zerg gets a few more drones out to then handle one gate Zealot pressure. But there are benefits to this as well. You do get your Nexus up pretty fast. If the Zerg doesn't interfere with you, you can tech pretty rapidly as well.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you do have to keep that probe alive. It looks like it's actually one hit away from getting killed here, so that would be huge if Zero does want to go for one of these early aggressive Hydra builds, which we keep hyping up because he was kind of the real innovator on those, but haven't really seen anything super aggressive from Zero just yet.
So another probe is sent out immediately because he wants to basically scan what the Zergs do, and he wants to identify. Okay, is there a layer here? Do you have a Hydra den? What's up? What's going on?
Yeah, the Hydra den's the really big thing, and the timing for that is coming up here. So getting this probe in is huge.
Now I want to point out, Zero has made the bare minimum amount of links.
Oh yeah, every Zerg wants to get away with 2.
Yeah, but that does mean you can scout pretty easily with the probe. Yeah. Even if you have 4, then you can use 2 of those to block the ramp. I guess you can use a drone to block the ramp as well.
I mean, if you're blocking your ramp with a drone, the Protoss player already knows, wait a second, this guy really doesn't want me to get in there.
But then the thing is, you can block it with the drone and not do anything.
Yeah,
So it's sort of a weird
mind game.
It's a weird mind game that happens there. So I think Ling's speed should be pretty close to finished.
Yeah, and he's also starting to pump more than just the bare minimum links.
Look at this. Look where he hides that one Zealot.
Oh my God.
He just puts it there.
Because the vision, the tree blocks it. Actually, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't, yeah.
Okay.
but I think the idea is really there. You can hide a Zealot on their side of the map and suddenly have something pop over much later on.
I mean, he's got to see the red dot on the minimap, right? But
yeah,
also,
no, he sees it, but he can't attack into it without losing all 4 links because they have to fight single file.
You'd have to like pull them back, and even then, all 4 of your lings are still damaged at the end. But the probe is ushered out, and that means that whatever Zero does from now on is either going to be unscouted or Rain is going to have to rush a Zealot in there and see what's up.
So there's 2 more Zealots coming in here. I like this a lot. He sends these 2 because he wants to free up this one over here.
He's going to get this guy out of jail.
Oh, hold on. Is he just going to go around? I guess he's going to go around to the 3rd.
It's like, you're not stuck in here with me, I'm stuck in here with you.
There's so much of this part of the game where you send the Zealots in different directions and try to hit different spots. And
so that's an extra hatchery, and I think the big thing that the casters are talking about is that these Zealots are completely unscouted.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. They're going to come right in.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And now the Lings can come back here and try to help fight, but look, he does the same thing he was trying to do earlier.
Oh, good job glitching on top, but he actually lost a drone there, so that's kind of not worth it.
That was impressive, the way he got this round on that. Now here comes the other Zealot back up here. Apparently there's Hydras under that Overlord. I didn't see that, but...
He's definitely trying to hide the Hydra underneath, but it looks like he will get a drone. Actually, he's going to get 2 drones.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The hit squad Zealot gets the 2 drones, gets taken out, but whatever.
It's so hard. Microing the Zealots requires actually a lot more attention on the Zealot than you would guess. You can't just right-click somewhere and it gets there because it's slow, and it can be body blocked by simply just slow Lings can get in the way of it.
Yep.
So the fact that he's getting all these units away and still doing damage, and another
he's
Zealot
back
comes
at it
in,
again.
It's insane. It's truly impressive.
Where did that even come from? Like I'm trying to watch these Zealots go across the map, and he just keeps rallying single Zealots in and getting so much done with them, in spite of there being a bunch of Zerglings and Hydras out.
And he actually is now getting Overlords here.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Now I want to point out Zero is one of the greatest Zergs of all time.
Oh, for sure.
And he is getting judo flipped in this game. I mean, this is like you're just coming out and attacking different spots, and the Zerg can't keep up.
Yeah, this is like waxing on with no way for Zero to wax this off.
The only person I ever see that can do the same type of damage, honestly, in this matchup is Bisu.
Yeah, and his prime, like Bisu just made this look imbalanced and totally unfair.
Yeah, and the concept isn't difficult, right? I mean, you hit with different spots with the Zealots, and if you have a Zealot over where the Overlords are, you then attack in there. But the way that Rain makes it looks like it's almost too good to stop.
Oh, he's coming back in here again. The Hydras just never seem to be in significant number or in the right position.
And
oh my God.
He's so patient. He'll do that much damage. He never overextends, which I think we see a lot of other Protosses do.
Well,
Zero lose a few Corsairs.
Yeah, it's hard to keep those alive and get Overlord kills. Well, now the Overlords have speed. He also made a huge round of Overlords, so now he's way up above the supply cap, and it looks like he's doing a better job protecting them from these Corsairs.
Yeah, but when you're making that many Overlords, it does mean you've slowed down the production rhythm overall here for Zerg, right? You were spending a lot more time remaking Overlords instead of having a bigger army, and this all plays into the Protoss' hand. Protoss now comes out with Zealots and a DT, and both of those are going to be much more of a threat because the Overlords generally, when they retreat, they have to bunch together like so over here. So now the DT may have a better ability to assert itself.
And it looks like Rain is sort of corralling these Overlords, saying, okay, you stay over here, and eventually he's going to find a point of weakness and try to run that DT in.
Yeah, he actually came back through here to see if there was anything spotting at the third.
Yeah.
This is 6-hatch again, by the way.
Okay, so he is going to try that same style. Now, last time he only made a few mutas. They didn't really do all that much. This time, he skipped the mutas, at least for now. We'll see if they come into play a little bit later on. Trying to bust up the ramp, but it looks like he is actually going to do that. More reinforcements coming down from Zero, trying to stop these Zealots from killing the drones.
Okay, he's come in now. And he, because of the harass early on, the Zerg never got to get a very clean wall in, which is what you normally see at the third base. You normally see this area that's just very hard to attack into with melee units.
Yeah, SimCity's way more open this time, especially at the third base.
So he's got his Templars. Now he did lose some Zealots in that attack there, which means he can't attack out, but you want to watch out for these big Hydra busts here.
Ooh, still losing these Overlords, man. It's actually kind of interesting, the way this visibility ebbs and flows. For a while, the Protoss just has no way to scout without a Corsair once the probes die. But now it's kind of flipped on the other side, whereas these Overlords get taken out, and all of a sudden, Zero doesn't have a total grasp on where these Zealots are. Well, I guess he did find the Zealots now, but if you don't know where they are, that can be really scary if they run into your third.
So I think all the Hydras are going to reorganize and start at least the beginnings of a contain. Look, this is so interesting. This is the second time we've seen him get a shuttle before a third base.
Yeah, it seems like...
Normally, when you see a quick shuttle like this and it's Templar tech, it's something super cheeky, like a very quick DT drop, but not this time. It's like he's actually got all of his tech. I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting Templar mana upgrade or the amulet or whatever the hell that thing's called.
Khydarian amulet, yeah.
Yeah.
He's actually trying to bust up that ramp with just Hydras. I don't know if that's going to do it.
Like, if the reinforcements come... Wait, he wants to stop Protoss from making cannons over here.
Yeah?
I think that might actually work. There should be Templars here.
Are there?
No, he just hasn't moved them yet.
Yeah, and also I still want to find out what that shuttle is for, because if you're picking up the Templar and sending them across the map, you're not getting a third base.
Well, I think it's not necessarily for a storm drop. I think it's for a DT drop in the main. A lot of times when Corsairs begin to succeed, it means that there's not an Overlord in the main, but we just saw there was one. But a lot of times if the Corsairs are killing a lot, the main is just not necessarily well covered. And even if there's an Overlord there, there's usually not an army, but Zero seems to be very cognizant of what game plans Rain has this time around.
Super vigilant. And I mean, we've seen tons of games, especially in the quarterfinals, of one DT gets in, kills all your drones. Happened to Soma. I think it happened to Zero, actually, one game, but I think he still won. And so now he is airtight, no drops getting in, but this is a very scary push with a ton of Templar in it. Oh, but look at this sandwich coming in. Zero on the both sides here. He's got lurkers. He's trying to snipe down those high Templar, but can't pick one off. Forces out a couple of storms, but he has a reinforcing army coming from the other side at the same time.
He's so on top of checking where the army is on the minimap, but immediately getting there and immediately grabbing the Templar and immediately storming the exact right spot in the army where Zerg has to retreat. If they try to stay, they're going to lose everything.
Oh my God. Yeah, seeing Rain move, his army movements are so calculated.
Yo,
now,
did that shuttle move?
No, it's
still there.
Misclick? I don't know. It's got a purpose, right? But
well, he could just load it up with Zealots and drop it in the main too. Maybe he wants to see if there's going to be a lot of pressure, and if there is, he then moves in there and tries to do damage that way.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
I don't know. If staying back, you just don't want to bother.
Well, look, I mean, I think if you make the shuttle, there's always that possibility, and if Rain says it's not a good time, you know it's not a good time to use it.
So Zerg's staying out now. Now, there is the other main being taken over here, and you can see that if there were to be a Zealot run by like we saw in Circuit Breakers, it seems as though Zero's ready to catch it this time.
Yeah, now, what is that on the southern side of the map? There's one unit. It might be that shuttle at the 6 o'clock, but he's actually got to watch his Hydras because the storms are starting to come, and there's more where that came from, too. But the Hydra concave is gigantic. There's actually Hydras down below that aren't coming up to fight this.
Yeah, he's being very patient, Rain is. Zero has got enough, though, that I don't know if Rain wants to commit fully, but you never know. With this many storms, there's some pretty insane stuff.
He's going to come around from behind. This is it. An almost 360. No scope coming in from Zero. The Hydras and Lurkers coming from behind, but the storms abide. There's so many Templar in this army for Rain.
Rain, so far, he still has enough storms. If he can just throw down a few more.
Oh, but if those run out, then he is in so much trouble. The Hydra concave persists.
Maybe they're all empty. I'm sorry.
I think Rain's going to lose. I think this army is starting to get taken out. The DT, though, no Overlords here to save the Hydras.
Yeah, the Hydras are going to push forward here. That was a little bit messy by Rain. It seems like he might have had some more storms he could use, but he can reinforce with more Zealots and High Templars.
Yeah, and there are more storms back at home, so these Hydras will be able to push across the map, but there's still nothing to... Okay, there's the Overlord. Finally, the DT will get dealt with, but... Oh my God, this is so scary.
By the way, if that Nexus is done, okay, probes are finally being transferred. He didn't transfer that quickly.
Somehow the DT did not die and slipped by the Overlords, but if
this is great play by him. This is what you want to do. Is in the hectic fray,
right?
You just send the DT somewhere. In this case, he knows that in the main or in the natural, there's going to be something.
Oh my God. Every Protoss player has had that happen.
So there's more Lurkers being made here. He's going to try to contain. But this DT, let's see if Zero actually notices this. I see Hydra's coming here. God, he's really fast at reacting.
It gets one drone and that's it. Every other Zerg player loses their entire mineral line. Man, he is on top of things.
Okay, so here comes that shuttle now.
Finally.
Now this should be something Zero notices. But we'll see. And I have to assume there's a DT, maybe a High Templar, possibly a Zealot in there.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go in there and try to snipe High Templar. Those High Templar are very vulnerable. Yeah, and here we go, trying to dive on the High Templar. Dropping the Zealots. Is there a DT in there? Storm
okay,
drop.
4 Zealots. This is a smart move here.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is going to be enough to curb the sheer power of Hydras there is right here. Oh,
okay,
my God.
That's a good storm, but he might not have too many more left. It looks like he might just be totally out at this point, and there's Hydras and Lurkers knocking at his front door.
So this is what I call the waypoint dilemma. Zerg's already doing a lot of damage, but the rest of the army that's rallied, it comes out behind the cannons. Now, I don't see if there's any reinforcements coming here, so maybe this won't end up becoming an issue, but sometimes, especially in Mass Hydra, they'll hit the front of your base and you'll have Dragoons and Templars behind your structures, but they can't actually fight well.
He picks up another High Templar, but the cannons at that third base are actually going to stop it from going down. And, oh my God, Zero's lost so much in his main.
I got to say, that 4 Zealot drop, it's pretty insane what that did, huh?
Yeah, well...
and he's going to do it again.
Yeah, do you think he just was trying so hard to, like, get... or Zero was trying so hard to, like, just go for the kill that he just thought, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah. It seems like what Rain's plan is he just has a shuttle. And the thing is, if you just send a shuttle and nothing's going on the map, it's just going to get killed, right?
Right.
But if he sees an attack like the one we're seeing here, well, then the yin and yang of the army on the map here would say that there's nothing back at home. And 4 Zealots... with just workers, that does an insane amount. It's sort of like vultures in a PvT. I mean, this just does so much. He can pounce on some of the key structures like the spawning pool as well.
And Zero's got hard choices to make. Do I go for it and maybe lose too much in my main, or do I have to try to split some off, defend back at home, and keep the pressure on?
And so again, the main isn't mining. He killed the pool.
Oh my God.
Which is just very annoying.
For sure.
Oh my God.
That is a lot of Hydras. Let's see how many storms there are.
Yeah, he needs to back up. I mean, if the Hydra's try to collapse on this, okay, that was huge.
Sickest storms there. Now, it's just thinning out the Hydra count so much.
I love this. He actually hides 2 Zealots over there. By the way, I think Protoss is being pretty sneaky in the bottom right. I think he's making a plume of cannons. And then he could just pop a Nexus up there. You know, since Protoss can make everything from 1 probe, you can just sneak a base, which is great in a PvZ especially, because if a Zerg has even 1 Zergling there, they can also stop a base, right? But when there's this much action going on and drops happening everywhere, that location in the bottom right might just be ignored.
Oh, another good storm there, but the Hydras will be able to pick that.
I gotta say, there's been a small mistake here by Rain. He never got the energy upgrade here for the Templars.
Yeah, I guess I didn't notice that. He's also been losing quite a few, but obviously he's remaking those almost as quickly. Now, supplies are starting to separate as Rain continues his macro. He's killed off huge chunks of Hydras and now decides to push out across the map. There's a lot of Hydras here, but the storms are coming in.
Okay, the Hydras can do their initial damage, but once these Templars get here, we got to see how the Psy Storms connect. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, and that second one is, I mean, almost just as good. I think he's just going to break.
He's going to win again. He's so good. GG.
That's it.
He's so incredible at this matchup. I mean, you could see you know, a Karate Kid, when he suddenly learned what Mr. Miyagi taught him, he's like, I don't want to be sanding wood all day or whatever. And then he's like, wax off, wax on.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's like, I know Kung Fu.
I know.
Same thing. We just saw Zerg try every attack move, and Rain just knows it. He knows deflect, deflect, deflect. And Zerg is hemorrhaging units when they're constantly on the attack, especially in this 6-hatch Hydra phase of the game. He just holds everything off. I really learned something with that shuttle.
Yeah,
he just
having
has it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of RTS theory would tell you get the shuttle exactly when you need it. No, not in this case. You get the shuttle so that when the opportunity comes, it's like breaking the glass and pulling a fire alarm, or getting a fire extinguisher out when there's a fire.
Yeah, when you know, hey, now I have it when I need it.
Having a wooden stake when there's a vampire.
Man, I don't know.
You know.
I think Rain looks a little bit more like Mr. Miyagi here. It looks like he just has so.
He's got it sorted. He was teaching us.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's excellent artwork right there.
Oh, it looks like that is the best cheerful, which means they win a keyboard or mouse.
Hydra has a bit of an underbite, though.
It takes all Hydras are beautiful.
Dental work in Asia is cheap. Don't worry, he can get that fixed. It's going to be okay.
And then he dies to a storm, and it's like, well, at least I died with good teeth.
Well, you died with a smile. You know, there's always that.
So
Rain is up 3-0. He may win this 4-0. I have to say, I really thought Zero, especially around the middle part of that game, I thought Zero was going to win for sure.
He was pushing in right as that drop came in with so many Hydras. I was petrified. I thought, well, maybe this is it. But you know, Rain just always has enough to hold on. And our next map looks like it will be Eddie.
Zero's been getting owned, man, and he's playing so well too.
Yeah, it's not like he's getting walked over or anything.
Yeah, but he's still getting owned.
Yeah,
he's not getting walked over. You're right. It's like he puts him a fight, but Rain is so good. He just parries everything.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what Zero's supposed to do. Because right now he's showing that this style, at least in 2 of the games, it's not going to beat Rain. Rain just outlasts you, has enough.
You know, if Zero's got a bag of builds or any secrets left in the tank, I mean, this is it. If you don't use them here, you risk losing and then never getting to really show what you've prepared. So if there's a time, it's now. So let's get into game number 4.
Yeah, and I think we're moments away from getting that loaded up. Actually, we're ready now.
And here we are. The map is Eddie. Looks like Rain is spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, and Queen, or Zero, is in the upper left. Never had a cross-spawns game, but I guess that keeps... I don't know. How would that change, especially on a map like Eddie? Do you think Queen wants to be farther away? I don't know. I want to be as far away from Rain as possible. That guy's scary.
I don't know. I think this is almost more of a StarCraft 2 thing. I guess in general, yeah, Zerg want to be far away, but the thing about Rain is that he kind of just waits for the Zerg to attack it, and then it's like, well, I guess technically, if you're both sharing the top or the left or the right or the bottom, then your 4th and 5th bases are actually the ones that are far away.
Okay.
Right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think it's more applicable in StarCraft 2 because people can move their entire army with total fluidity.
Ooh.
And so, hold on a second. Wait.
This is the 50-50. You really hope that your opponent's at one of those two bases on the right-hand side.
My friend, this is the 2/3 build.
Oh, that's right, the 33-33.
Yeah. It's the idea is that there's a 2 out of 3 chance that the Zerg is on the right side of the map. Since we can deduce Protoss, the Protoss can at least deduce they're on the bottom left. Now, in the 1 out of 3 chance that the Zerg is not in the right side of the map, given these circumstances, I think you just lose. But let's see what does Rain do here? Because when you have players as good as Rain, when they get into the absolute worst circumstances based off a chance build, based off an RNG build, I really want to see. By the way, I thought it was going to be double gate.
Yeah, I definitely did too. By 50-50, I meant like there's 2 places you're going to build that pylon. You can build it between the 2 far bases over there or the 2 northern bases. So you got to make a choice, and it covers 2 options. But in this case, both of those options are bad. So this is like you flip a coin, and both sides of the coin are tails for Rain.
Yeah, and you bet on heads. So Rain comes in here to scout. Now he already knows that his build is bunk.
Yes.
This is just not going to. It's not going to work. He's going to see that that he might get confused now and think, okay, yeah, he's already changed the trajectory of where the Overlord was going to go.
Yeah.
So he's going to switch this up into a cannon rush build. Now this is another type of build you can do. Wait, what?
No, he doesn't have a forge.
Wait.
He's making him think it's a cannon rush, but it's obviously there's no forge.
I thought it was a forge that was being made at the natural.
Nope. So 2 gates, and I mean, he's still going to be able to rally Zealots out of 2 gates. They're just going to be a little bit farther away.
Okay, so, sorry, this is so weird.
Well, at least Zero now knows exactly what's happening. He knows that there is at least a little bit coming, and, there's no hurry to make the cannon there, so he's probably figured out, wait a second, that's not what is in my future.
Yeah, this is going to probably just be, in a little bit here, a smash into the Protoss.
Yeah, I mean,
this shouldn't work.
Once your gateway is that far across the map, I mean, what do you do? Also, there's so many Lings. They've already kind of caught the Zealots. Although I will say that Rain is still doing a good job keeping those Zealots healthy.
They also just don't this isn't reinforced nicely.
Yeah. I mean, he's still going to be able to wall back at home, but, I mean, what does he have there? He's going to have 1 Zealot.
Okay, let me see. I'm sorry, I'm trying to break this down in my head. He's going to attack in here, but I think the Lings can just hit the gateway. Now, there's an imbalance here. Keep in mind that Zero's been getting beaten down pretty badly this entire series, so he might not be playing at his best.
Well, it is nice to see finally things starting to go his way. He's got a great opportunity to deal a lot of damage here. It would truly take kind of a miracle for Rain to kind of right the ship at this point.
What is this game? Now, it looks like unless there's another Zealot that spawns immediately, he's going to just kill the... Oh, there it is. He spawns immediately, and therefore he will not kill the cannon.
And now he's targeting down the spawning pool, but the Zealots get owned.
This is a misclick.
Oh, my God. He's going to be able to get on top of the cannon or even just run straight by.
Yeah, what he'll do is he'll run around with these Lings, and then when the rest of the Lings come down,
oh my God,
he can actually pounce on the cannon and probably end the game.
Yeah. Where's your gate, bro? Where's your gate? Oh, wait. It's all the way on the other side of the map, as far away as possible.
So... this is a predicament as old as the game itself here for Protoss, is when the Lings start to get the upper hand when you do rushes like this. And then your probes are under pressure. And Zealots are just slower to catch up to Lings, and probes are fairly clumsy units when facing off against Zealots.
Yeah.
Or Zerglings, excuse me.
So what is the follow-up here for Rain? Like, how do you try to hold on? You just spam cannons and hope you can hang on?
I think he's doing it right now. You re-wall in.
Yeah.
And you just try to stabilize and expand and trust in that the Zerg is already playing a game where their instinct is going to be pretty off. It's not a normal start here.
For sure. I mean, look, it's hard not to say that Zero's in a fantastic spot here, but Rain is kind of a miracle worker, and a lot of times if he can kind of stabilize, maybe take these Lings out in his main, then that's where we start to see Zero maybe have the opportunity to make a mistake, overcommit to trying to kill your opponent, because that is so hard to do in Brood War, even if you have a big advantage.
Well, tempo-wise, Zero's going to be ahead, right?
For sure.
Zero isn't losing buildings in the middle of the map. Zero didn't really lose very many drones. There's a couple things you can do, and I guess the one that Zero's chosen is to go into Spire. I think some players might have been tempted to go into a Hydra bust. I think Zero, at this point in time, does not want to risk simply making a bunch of Hydras only to be met with a bunch of cannons.
Yeah, I mean, if you make Hydras, you have to sack them into cannons. If you go Mutas, then at least maybe you have the opportunity to find a weak spot.
Yes, also, because everything was slowed down overall here by Rain, Rain gets the Corsair out much later. And with the Corsair out much later, it's just, you don't know for sure until the Corsair scouts what exactly you're dealing with.
Yeah, and if you build Corsairs and your opponent's gone into some sort of 3-hatch Hydra bust, then oh, wait a second, you just have only flying units that don't really help out there.
And behind this, the Spire's being made. We don't have a den just yet, but it's 5 hatches already. So Zero is just ramping up his economy.
Now, at least previously when Zero has gone for your situations like this where he holds off damage that happens, I don't think he's ever been this far ahead. So this is basically the best chance we have of all the games in this series for Zero to take a win. He's just got to steer it home. He's in a great spot right now. Let's see if he can hold on and leverage that advantage he has.
So he's sending the Zealots out in part because he needs to just figure out what's going on this side of the map, right? Yeah. He says, okay, are there Hydras here? All right, so he's going to take this fight. Zerg will win this, by the way. Although Protoss might be able to control pretty well and trade pretty well. This is great control here.
Oh my!
I actually am very surprised that went as well as it did.
Oh, ye of little faith! What a god, Rain! Makes the possible possible. This is 2 + 2 = 5 for Rain.
I mean, this is just—he's so good at.
Excuse
at
me.
This. So it's held off, right? But
yeah.
Wow.
At what cost, though? Am I right?
I mean, he killed off all the Lings. And he sees that Hydra Tech is not even happening right now. There's not a Hydra on the map just yet. In fact,
there
the
is
den's
the den.
just now started.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I actually wasn't watching the gases. Is it just going to be Scourge, or is he going to try to spring a bunch of Mutalisks over here?
See, that's what I thought. I thought the den's late, so he's going to go for massive amounts of Scourge and then Mutas to follow up. So you overwhelm the Corsair numbers, and then the Protoss can never catch up, right?
Yeah, I wonder.
I mean, the other way to do that is to build the den, fake that you're going Hydras, and then overwhelm them.
Well, we don't see Mutas just yet. I think what he really wanted to do was just stay back and make so many drones because, all right, now here we have it. It's 4 Mutas. Maybe we'll go up to 5. We saw this in the other game.
Oh my goodness, he's trying to catch that Corsair just seconds too late. Now, if he can pick one off, is there a cannon? Yes, there is, so he won't be able to camp the Stargate.
There has to be a cannon, one in the main, and then there's always, of course, one in the natural, but you want to be able to fly over that as a safe zone.
Yeah, kind of scrape the Scourge off there. So, again, we see Zero with one of these small numbers of Mutas that can't really do a whole lot, but, hey, there is actually no cannon near the Mineral Line, so he's at least going to get a few probe kills.
If somebody knows why the number is either 4 or 5 here from Zero, somebody tweet at me, because I actually don't. I know that it's enough that you have to answer to the threat of Mutalisks and make Corsairs, which I guess can make your Templars come out a little bit later. But I'm just curious if there's some other reason, like they two-shot a certain unit or whatever it is.
Well, I think it also is kind of an idea of, well, how many can I afford to get out right now? And you're right, Zero did make a massive round of drones. So he has a huge economy. He's back on 6 hatcheries as well. And I think if he goes for that same standard, like the 6 hatch that we've been seeing him go for in an advantageous position like he is now, maybe that's the recipe for success.
You know what else? I must point this out. You can contain Protoss better on this map than pretty much any other map.
Okay.
The exit point is small and your buildings really get in the way. And the part that Zerg would be in control of is like 100% the size. It gives you a better arc. So you can just have Hydras and Lurkers there, so when they try to come out, they almost have to destroy their entire wall in to get out, and even then, it's still a problem. Yep. And of course, with the Hydras here, it compounds the problem because then you have to make more cannons
here. Here we go, trying to run in with the Hydra or with the Mutas and snipe the High Templar and use the Hydras to break down things from the outside. Where's those High Templars? It looks like there's one with Storm. Actually, no,
he doesn't
have
Storm's
it.
Done yet.
Oh my God,
yeah,
GG.
GG.
Damn.
Okay, well, that's what happens when you
build your gateway on the other side of the map.
So, good job there by Zero. He won as he should have.
Right.
Rain took a huge risk and did a build that could not guarantee him a win if Zero was in the spots that Rain was hoping for, but it certainly guarantees him a loss if Zero's not in those spots. And so Rain pays the price. Now, I don't blame Rain for doing it. He's up 3-0, or was. Now he's lost a game.
For sure.
He had certainly enough room to try cheeses and stuff like that and see if he can just pull one off. Why not try that? And so that does it for that map, one of the maps that Zero picked. And don't forget, from here on out, if the series continues, Rain is picking every map.
Yeah, I guess that is actually true. And you're right, that is one of the worst matchups or maps that Protoss has to go into, especially if they get contained. So why not pull out an aggressive map? Just prevent the Zerg player from being able to play that abusive style. Obviously, it didn't work, so we can't really extrapolate too much. But hey, at least Rain is a mere mortal. He can bleed, and that means that there is a chance for Zero to mount a comeback here.
So we will be going to a short break, but when we come back, we will continue this best of 7 on and see if Zero can turn this around or if Rain's going to close it out. Guys, we're back. It's time to go to Game 5 here with Rain versus Zero. Rain has been crushing it in basically every game except for the one where he did a probability cheese, is I guess what we can call it.
A little bit of a coin flip there at the end.
And it backfired.
I think it's actually really good that Rain mixed that in because I think one of the hallmarks of the best players is that not only do they have a vast array of builds at their disposal, but they can always keep their opponent on edge by never doing the same thing twice.
Right, and if you're ahead in 3 wins, they don't have any wins at all.
Yeah.
You can take a complete probability cheese. It makes sense. If you win, then you're out. You're free. Keep in mind, there still might be another Zerg for Rain in the finals.
That's true.
Doesn't want to give up too much of his play.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work, you've already won 3 games in a row. You should be able to win another game in a straight-up fashion. So it makes sense. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Zero is still here. Zero actually looked more stressed out after he won that game. Because I think he knows what's going on.
I think he kind of figured out, wait a second, is that really what I need to win these games? It was funny, this past weekend, there was a big video game festival called G-Star, and they had this event match where anybody could challenge Flash. And if you beat Flash, obviously that's the goal of the event. And so they had guys like Bisu and like actual pro players come and couldn't do it. And that's kind of what Zero has to do. He's got a bunch of games, a bunch of tries. He just has to beat Rain. He did it once. Can he do it again?
One game at a time, right? Let's take a look at our players now as we get close to beginning this match. The next map is going to be on Overwatch. Again, Rain gets to pick every map from here on out as Zero has used up all of his picks. This is a one-on-one map, so we could have proxy gates again.
Right.
Fast expanding, of course, is also fine, as it usually is on any map here, PvZ.
That's true. It also reduces the amount of variability. There's just way less of the map out there. Now, it's not like Overwatch doesn't have its own significant facets, but it is going to narrow things down a little bit more. Maybe for Rain, that makes it easier for him to figure out what's coming his way. I don't know, but it's going to be exciting to see if Zero can bring it back.
Yeah, hopefully we can go to a Game 6 here, but first Zero has to win here in Game 5, and right now Rain has been looking dominant, whether he's rushing or he's playing a defensive game and just holding the Zerg off. Anyways, our game's ready now. Okay, in the upper left here is Rain. In the bottom right is Zero. Let's see what these two players are going to open with.
Some win rates down there in the bottom right. You can see, I think the biggest one is that Protoss does pretty well here versus Zerg.
Right.
It is a hard thing to do to pull the wool over the Protoss players' eyes unless we get started out with like a pylon on the map, and by now you can tell that's not the way Rain wants to play this.
Right, exactly. Yeah, in this game, I don't know. I'm trying to imagine from Zero how he's going to view this. Because Rain has got to look like the scariest player of all time.
Oh, of course.
If you're Zero. I mean, Zerg did so well in each of the games that were standard and nothing worked, right?
Yeah.
Now, well, one thing about this map, and one of the reasons why Protoss is at the highest level tend to beat Zergs on it, is there's not a lot of places for Zerg to expand, and also every expansion you take doesn't allow you to parlay that into another expansion. For instance, Circuit Breakers is kind of the opposite. You can chain together expansions of Zerg pretty easily.
Right. They kind of have a natural flow between them. But
right.
Here you've got to spread out a lot more.
Every expansion is more outposted. I guess, okay, the third base probably you're going to take it if you're Zerg in the spot bottom center, right? But everything else from there, you get the expansion, it is a standalone base. A lot of other maps, let's take a 4-player map, for instance. You can take a vacant natural expansion, and then you expand into the main behind that, right? These are expansions that lend each other to other expansions. And chaining expos for the Zerg and a PvZ is very important. And they don't really have the ability to do that as well. It doesn't mean that Zerg can't win, but Zerg have to basically make every step correctly. Things don't tend to pile on each other.
Really? Man, that hatchery always looks off-center to me, but able to get it down nonetheless. Just a slight delay from that probe, and already a fast Nexus coming up from Rain behind this. And
so, Protoss love to do a quick probe scout here on this map because it lets them immediately see what's happening. So it's 13 Forge, 13 Nexus, 13 Cannon, resuming back into probe production here. We want to watch and see how many Lings are going to be made here for Zero. Right now, Zero is doing the bare minimum, which is getting 2, which is fine, by the way. You wouldn't want to get 6 and run around with them. Those could be drones.
You also don't want to skip all your Lings, because then the probe just chills there and knows everything you're doing forever.
Right. Well, you want to at least keep them honest, keep them microing. I mean, if you had the ability to just do anything you wanted and not have to multitask, that's always a headache. Granted, at the highest level of play, it's pretty easy to control this, but still, the idea is there.
Now, I will say that one thing that's a lot different from this ZVP than the one we saw in the quarterfinals that Zero played against Mini is that Mini was always trying to like get out there, and he's very like he's got a lot of personality, not only in his emotions but in his play style too, and that kind of opens him up for a few holes. And he got caught with his pants down a couple of times, but Rain is not doing that. There's no like where's the vulnerability here? If Rain loses, it's because he loses himself the game, not because the opponent forces him to.
Here comes his Cybernetics core. Now, we should expect a Stargate and probably Templar Tech, but Rain can mix it up.
Yeah, what's the way that you change things up if you don't want to play super standard here like we've seen Rain do in the past?
Well, you can, for instance, throw down a lot of gates very quickly after the Citadel and just try to power out Zealots, try to get in the Zerg's face. That's a good way to counter a lot of these Hydra busts and Hydra pressure, is you suddenly come out with your own speed Zealots. You have the same number of Zealots they have Hydras.
And all of a sudden the Hydras just fall over.
We did see a game on Neo's Sylphid a while back, and I think it was, I can't remember if it was KSL or ASL because some of these games blend together in my head. But he did this really cheeky double DT drop like right away at the start of the game. I don't know that we're going to have it this time around. There's a lot of weird offshoot strategies. 2 Stargates, one that was popular for a little while.
Yeah.
They're all okay. All right, they're all pretty good if you can hide them and execute them perfectly, but a lot of times we just see Protoss modestly tech into Templars and just power up.
That was cute, taking out that probe. So from now on, Rain is in the dark. He's got to get up that Stargate, get the Corsair out, and only then is he allowed to find out what's happening on the other side of the map. And if we saw a Hydra Den or no lair, that would be one tell, but it does look like Zero is continuing to play this exactly like we've seen in every previous game.
Yeah, Zero wants to win one of these games straight up so far. It just seems like Rain is able to match him.
I mean, that's one hell of a statement to make, is that you want to play a straight-up game against Rain, right?
You know what's funny about this as well is that in StarCraft 2, Rain had the best defense.
Yeah.
Like, basically ever. He was the one player that really didn't want to do anything too eccentric. By the way, this is a very quick rush into Templars here. But he didn't want to do anything too eccentric. Instead, he just sort of looked at what you were doing, got ready, and swatted it away, and then got ahead. And it's kind of the way he's beating Zero here, but besides the 2 cheeses we had. He just controls the map well enough, says, okay, you're going to try to plow into me with Hydras. I'm going to be ready. I'm going to hold it off, and you will have no way to drag this into a late game.
And it's important to mix those cheeses in, because if you're only a defensive player, eventually people will start exploiting that. But if you prove that you have the ability to get out there and just overwhelm them, then obviously that makes them kind of think twice about playing super greedily to sort of outgreed your defensive play.
Since we're going super in-depth there, one little thing I want to point out, and this is common with the best Protoss, is the most important tech in their build they put in the natural behind the Nexus where the Overlord basically can't get to. Sometimes players throw the second gateway as the Citadel's coming times. Other times it's the first Templar archives.
Yeah, exactly.
And this seems to be the blind spot for the Zerg. So we should see a pretty quick Dark Templar come out here, I think. And then, yeah, here it is. So this is the Sarah DT build. It's fairly old. I don't know which transition he's going to have. He'll probably have to get stormed pretty immediately. And he's going to... The DT tries to do a little bit of intel. Okay, going to be a big gateway explosion behind it.
Now, let's see what this DT gets done, because there are Overlords at all of the bases, at least if they haven't moved yet.
It probably won't get anything done since the Zerg's playing standard. If the Zerg's doing something really weird, like trying to rush in, okay. If you don't react...
Hello? Please respond?
Okay, that's 4 too many.
Oh, my God. Okay, well, I guess sometimes you just got to see what's out there, and if you can get 4 drone kills, that is mission accomplished.
I'm impressed by how cavalier that move was, because there were Overlords there, there were Hydras and Lings there, but he just walked in. By the way, second DT made.
If you're playing the numbers game, that is not a percentage win right there, but he definitely high rolled on that one.
Yeah, he just walked in and did the damage. Remember that the game doesn't alert you when you're losing drones. 2 DTs, because the DT one-hits drones. And here we go, a second time around.
Okay, it looks like he's a little bit more on top of this one. Instantaneous pull, but he still loses a
2
drone.
kills.
What? Yeah. Okay, that is a little sloppy. He could have just kept running the drones, right?
I think so. It's kind of weird, because once you kill those initial drones, it can be worth it to send the second DT in to kill more.
Oh, that's right.
Because things are already, the Zerg's already hurting. The Zerg's already feeling it from the previous attack.
Well, Hydra speed is done, range coming up, and this means it's time for Storm. When it comes up, obviously Zero's going to have to back up, but at least he's able to put on some pressure. Let's see if these Corsairs can get any Overlord kills across the map. Looks like the answer is no.
So Zealot leg speed upgrade is coming along here, and we're going to have Storm done pretty soon. And these Corsairs are just to come out, and if you can get an opening, kill Overlords. If not, that's fine. And for instance, stray Overlords like this one, you can snipe it down. But Rain always conservative with his Corsairs, never overextends.
And it looks like now he's still going to get that one shuttle, almost certainly. But he's able to push out now that these Zealots have legs. He's got Storm behind this, obviously. And he has broken, I guess, the contain for now. But, I mean, round 2 is always coming as we look for what's next on the board here for
so
Zero.
The Hydra's moved out. These Overlords are very vulnerable. He seems like, Zero seems like he's always just barely got the right amount.
Now, moving through the center of Overwatch can be a little bit dicey, because there's a lot of tiny little choke points, and if you get caught there, that's not a great place to be. But now, the Hydras have completed their move across the map, with the Lurkers circling around from behind.
So, this has become more popular as of late. It's one of the older ways to play the game, but it seems to have come back into style. But the classic 3-base Lurker contain versus a 2-basing Protoss. You use the Hydras and the Scourge, with Overlord sight, of course, to shoot down the observers. And you kind of just, oh, hold on a second.
Wait a second, how did those get there?
Well, they actually ran out at this moment. This seems like Rain has very good instinct on how the Zerg play this, and so he just runs out with all of his stuff, which makes this contain, which would normally be a much larger threat, fairly obsolete.
But back at home, Zero's able to bust through almost all of the cannons. He just barely avoids killing that one at the bottom. I think it did go down, and now all these Overlords, nothing to hold off the Corsairs.
This is so much damage that's happening here. And now the Overlords, they should be supply blocking the Zerg here with this next kill. Yes, they do. And, dude, this is pretty bad right now for Zero because there's no way to reinforce this.
Yeah,
I can actually easily break free.
Because Zero wanted to be the one macroing out like a million Hydras right now to press this advantage at the front, but now he can't build any units. He's still supply blocked, and this means that Rain gets to break out of the contain, but actually, Zero's coming in for more.
Yeah, Zero's going to try to come in now. Now with the Templars here, if he's quick enough, he can get a few more successive storms down.
Let's see, he actually saves both of those High Templar. That's amazing, and now he has cannons to hold with.
A little bit surprised he's not storming faster.
Yeah, it could have been that he wanted to let the Hydras clump up a little bit more, but he still saved the High Templar, which is kind of mission accomplished.
You know, one thing about being a really good Protoss player, it's not just when you storm, but when you don't storm. You know, sometimes we'll see a player storm 2 Hydras, and it's problematic, right? It's just not enough damage, and then when the real attack comes in, you're hurting. But Rain beat Zero down. Zero, I don't know that he's going to be able to regain control of the outside of the natural here.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to kind of tell who has control because the Protoss players sort of like a rubber band pulling back and building up that storm energy and becoming more like stronger and stronger, more and more cost efficient. So even though it looks like Zero's got a lot of stuff out there on the map, he's A, still supply blocked again, and B, all of his stuff dies if it runs into storm here. So let's see if he can find an angle to attack Rain from that he doesn't just lose everything.
Problem now is that it looks as though Protoss is all but guaranteed a third base.
Right.
Especially when Protoss gets Templars and Dragoons on the high ground.
There are a little bit of oddly clumped up Hydras here. They're not, usually you want to see the Zerg army fight together, but it's awfully segmented now and not faring too well here against Rain.
Yeah, well, the damage that Rain did, looks like he should just get this base. I'm sure there's Templars, by the way, back in the natural, so he should be safe from an attack over there. And
there's all those Overlords again. I'm so traumatized from the last time they all died.
Yeah, I mean, well, fortunately, there's only 3 Corsairs out, but I think that Protoss basically gets the third up. I don't see any real counterattack potential. And then the Zerg has to take a fourth, and right now the roaming army is strong enough for the Protoss that this complicates things for the Zerg player, for sure.
Well, Zero's still being proactive and getting out here on the map, chasing the Corsairs back again. And it looks like he still wants to put on, I don't want to say pressure, because now that Rain has had a chance to get this 40 supply lead, I mean, good luck trying to fight that.
Yeah, when things go poorly for you, as an aggressive Zerg, it's very hard to bounce back. So the Muta play is going to be where he relies. Now, we will also have to see if Protoss decides to commit to a push. It looks like it. I mean, there's only 3 Corsairs.
Now, this is the kind of a big moment for Zero. He's built this tiny clump of mutas. It's actually not as tiny as it has been before. And he's going to try to run in, snipe the High Templar, and then avoid, you know, the storms, use the Hydras to win the game. Unfortunately, I mean, Rain just has so much at this point. That's a lot to ask.
It looks like there's actually going to be, we don't have a shot of it, here it is, an isolated group of Hydras right over here.
Ooh. Pretty good storm there. Actually does wind up storming those Zealots. And I mean, that'll allow the Hydras to get to the point on the high ground with the Lurker Egg to block that they don't just die immediately. But I don't know if Zero's going to be able to save them, or he might just choose to go for the attack instead.
Yeah, he just wants to try to eliminate the rest of these Hydras up here.
Oh my god, that's a lot of mutas.
This is a dozen mutas here.
So this is a huge tech switch from Zero. Not just a commitment to like a little bit of mutas. He's got a ton.
I'm worried here for Rain. This is the one way he could lose this, is if the Templars get sniped.
Yeah.
And here we go. It's that moment right now.
Running in. He's forcing a lot of storms out. Oh my god, the mutas are all getting picked off, but so are the High Templar.
Yeah, I mean, well, the mutas are allowed to die. The Templars are not, because then the Hydras just finish the game off. So he lost, I think, literally every High Templar.
And now
there's plenty more of them we're reinforcing here. Those weren't with the main batch.
Well, okay. I mean, they did have to use a lot of storms, but that energy's coming back. And where the mutas, I think they're almost all dead. He had 6 at 1 HP, and trying to fight into this with storm is not going to work.
Okay, the great counterattack here, though, with these Zealots really causing a headache. Rain really forcing Zero to juggle.
Sending Mutas back to deal with Zealots, man, those things are invincible. I guess that's one way.
These Zealots are going to kill the hatch.
Still going to lose the hatchery.
Yeah, he knows that Lurkers were no longer a factor once we saw the Mutas come out. There was too much gas spent there. And so he knows that Zealots being forked out in different directions on the map is the way to win this game.
Oh my god, another huge storm there. The Zealots, though, are kind of falling over. There's no more Zealots left here. Just fighting Hydras versus Dragoons is not going to work. Let's see if Zero can find a good trade there that's good enough, because at this point he's losing so much back at home.
So what Rain is doing so perfectly here is he comes out, he takes a bunch of fights, kills an expansion, and then he doesn't overcommit. He just runs back home and regroups because he knows he's even on bases, and he knows that with the number of gateways he should have back at home, he will be able to outproduce.
Oh, running the Hydras, an immediate storm deals tons of damage, but the Mutas are still able to get there in the back. They're not able to snipe the High Templar, though. And now that they've failed their mission, what else do you do as Zero?
Yeah, this is pretty crazy stuff. It's just not enough anything here for the Zerg. I mean, Protoss is keeping the Templars alive. Notice there's no easy spot to attack in here, so these Hydras are almost diving.
Yeah.
You can even see he's sending some of the weaker, the no-energy Templars up to try to force some of the Hydras to attack onto that, giving them not a lot of value in the short term here.
I mean, the storm energy will dwindle, but as long as the High Templars stay alive, like, I mean, they're going to get it back, and these Hydras are so costly to replace because this is a Zerg player that's still on 3 bases, unable to get that extra expansion up.
Yeah, a lot of the ways to fight the 6-hatch play is to just sit back and hold everything off and make sure they don't get to squeeze out that extra base they need so badly here, which is exactly what we have in this game.
Oh, he's going to lose almost all of his observers. Still saves 2, though. Never mind. Everything getting stormed. I think this is it for Zero.
Yeah, this is, you know what's funny about this is that this is Zerg fighting from the high ground onto the low ground, and Protoss is still winning, even though Hydras fire so much faster than Dragoons do.
Yeah, I mean, Zero is fighting until his very last breath. This is his KSL life on the line.
Look at the supplies now. Notice how much it's plummeted here. This is how we know that the Zerg has almost been knocked out of the game.
And he's not making like drones or other bases or anything economical behind this. He is just trying to get it done with what he has.
If this is Street Fighter, like the old ones, it's like this is right where they get dizzied. They've just been hit with enough of a combo that now they get to be punished even more.
Zero's about to hurt himself in his own confusion here. Rain is just killing it airtight. Nothing that Zero can do. So many High Templars building up energy during this lull that means that Zero, like, especially if this DT gets in and gets damage done, like, oh my god.
And if you notice, Rain is always giving himself opportunities here and there. Even if they don't work out, he's giving himself an opening where he can come out here and, hey, if there's no Overlord, I'll kill off some drones. If not, it's 1 DT, I'm already in the lead.
Yeah, he did it twice before. Got, I don't know, 4 drones the first time, 2 the second, and always out there looking for opportunities. He supply blocked Zero again. And, I mean, he just can't get to break.
Yeah. Notice the closer here now for Rain. He's taking the upper right. Zerg backed off, realizing he's probably not going to win this fight. He is going to fill this area up with so many cannons. And he's going to go right back. See the observer over here? Well, it's not going to be there for much longer, I don't think. But he's just checking the bottom left and saying, you don't have a base, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm going to take my own. I'll park 2 Templars up at this base, and then I'm going to win this game.
Wow, yeah.
Protoss is close to maxing out. The main and the naturals have been mined out. Minerals are getting sparse, I believe, at all 3 of the bases for the Zerg.
Right. So realistically, this is it. This is all Zero has. It's up to this attack, and if it doesn't work, then there's not a whole lot more to fall back on. So he might be able to catch a couple of High Templar here. No! Gets immediately stormed, forced to back off, and now he's kind of too far out on the map to pull back from. He's got to find something to do it now.
So Protoss is just waiting. Notice how many Templars are here. Almost a hilarious amount.
Oh my god.
And it's just that, like, there's so many storms here that, like, what are you going to do? What if the entire map is covered in lightning damage? Yeah, he could just keep spraying this out. Zerg can continue to try to fan out for days, but once you try to attack back in and collapse onto the Protoss, a few more storms close this out pretty easily.
Oh my God. This
Yeah,
is like
this is GG.
the John Cena ability. Storming on these chumps like it's thunder and light and rain. He's got storms for days, and that's it. GG. Zero taps out, and Rain advances on to the KSL 4 Grand Finals.
Jeez, man, he's so good. He's so good. Keep in mind, he just dominated recently in PvP, harder than we've ever seen, but that's some of the scariest PvZ I have ever seen. The only game he lost was like the cheesiest cheese backfiring entirely. And Zero, I mean, he looks like he's playing an obsolete ZVP style.
You said it, like it's the game that Rain lost. It's not the game that Zero won. And to win a game, I mean, Zero is sort of your best hope. As Zerg right now, he's on the forefront of the metagame. He knows all the ins and outs, and even he could not get it done. An incredible and overwhelming and inevitable display of skill from Rain. He is just so good. Clearly the favorite to win the tournament all tournament long, but now you really see why.
Well, now you see why all these players are so threatened by Rain. I mean, he really makes that matchup look so easy.
Yeah.
Zero gets right to the point where the problems usually start for Protoss, but that's where Rain has an answer after answer after answer. He knows exactly when to attack, but more importantly in this matchup, he knows exactly when to retreat.
Yeah, he just has such complete vision, awareness. Even when he has to play a little bit in the dark, his fundamentals are so solid that he's okay staying back on 2 bases longer than you think most Protoss players would be, knowing that he will eventually get out there and take another one. Looks like we're going to look at some highlights right now, and this is starting from game 1, that 9-9 gate. Yeah,
so the 9-9 gate, a very good answer to Overpool, the opening. But Zero was actually playing, I think out of all the games we saw, this was probably his best game.
Yeah, I think a lot of them he looked like he could have some potential to win, but then Rain just shuts the door.
So Rain loses control of his pylon in the center, but he's basically made enough probes and he has cannons to defend here that he's able to muster an army. He does a very, very good push through here, getting the Templars exactly where they need to be, doing so much storm damage here.
Incredibly good storms here, and even though Queen or Zero is one of the best players in the world at dodging them, there's too many. There's nowhere to run. And even after the Muta switches, even when he was able to take out a lot of High Templar, there's always more behind it.
And so, again, in this game, there was a lot more to it that I think we're highlighting here, but he did a really good job controlling the bottom. And then he put some pressure on the top, which allowed an opening to be created there, which allowed him to then push out, and he actually pushed onto the rally point in that game.
Now, yeah, again, we're only really highlighting the fights, not really all the positional play to deny bases. And in this one, Zero actually got a lot of bases up. You can see the 4th down there, but he's still just not able to overwhelm Rain's army. This is the best spot for Zero in the entire series.
Yeah, he actually starts to drive him back, and so we see 1 or 2 more storms thrown down, and then a pretty quick retreat as he realizes, okay, I can't take this fight any longer. But he macros back up and just proceeds to eventually push through. He shows why a 3-base powering Protoss with solid defense just is able to push through. And you cannot, according to Rain, stay on Hydras forever. Eventually he has the right number of Zealots, the right number of Dragoons, the right number of Templars.
And those are +2 Hydras, too, into just 1-1. So it's not like there's any crazy mismatch. Rain's units are just that good.
Yeah, and this was the one game where he tried to cheese, and it turned out he guessed the wrong spawns.
Yeah.
And so
we take those. Nice to mix it in, but ultimately...
pretty big blunder here as well. He was right-clicked on the...
the spawning pool, yeah.
And so here, in a pretty common PvZ fashion here, the Zerg just overpowers with Hydras at the front. And that is the game.
Yeah, even moves like this is just the icing on the, well, this is the sprinkles on the icing on the cake, which is the bonus damage, and oh my God, this is just devastation.
So this was such an impressive early game here, and we've seen this a couple times here where Rain just knows exactly how to make, DT Corsair seems like a pretty simple unit comp to handle, but apparently not if you're going up against Rain. And this closer here, he just knew to just over-make Templars. He's going to have more than enough storms that there's just never a way that you will ever be able to win this. Rain right now looking like the best Protoss there is. Really, he is.
Yeah, I mean, the appropriate name when you're making that much Storm. Like, what do you do? Like, where is his weak spot? I don't honestly know. I think you really do have to try to throw in some wrench into his plans and throw him off, because I think it was clear that in those games where it did get a little bit crazier, it did look like Zero maybe had the potential to come back. And it's hard to point out a flaw in Zero's play either.
Yeah, I think Zero's been playing the style that Zergs have been using for a while that has worked. But it seems like, especially with Rain, he's answered it. He knows how to just stay back, defend, get the right number of Templars, not overextend, and especially against the 6-hatch play, he knows to just watch for that extra base. Zerg is going to try to take a fight, but they're going to need to squeeze out another base eventually, and Rain makes sure that's impossible. And I almost wonder if Zergs are going to have to come with a totally different approach in this matchup.
Yeah, what we were talking about for the reason Zerg is doing so well against Protoss a lot of times is because they have all of these aggressive moves that they can do. We didn't see any of that out of Zero, and I think one of the reasons is that Rain is so proactive about scouting. It's hard to like pull the wool over your opponent's eyes, because obviously if they see that coming, it's just not going to work, right?
He's very good at pressuring different spots on the map, especially in that one game. I think it was on Circuit Breakers. We saw these 6 Zealots spill out and run to the bottom of the map.
And cancel that hatch,
and,
right?
Yeah, to intercept the hatchery, and we saw it again on Overwatch, where he sent these Zealots out. I think it was 6 again, actually. And he just sent that into, I guess he was probably looking for a 4th, but it was a lurker contain. But he just ran that into the natural again, and it's the same idea. Zerg, if they're in control of the map, then they can pick and choose the fight, but they can't if Rain is causing fires on other parts of the map.
Yeah, I mean, he was always trying those Zealot run-bys, DT run-bys. That shuttle that he saved for a really long time finally came in and did overwhelming damage. It's hard to mess with a complete formula, and it really feels like Rain has just got everything measured out in the right amounts.
I like how you're pointing out that shuttle as well, because that's very interesting. He doesn't even use it. He gets about 2 or 3 observers, and then he just keeps the shuttle. And this was in the Fighting Spirit game.
Right.
He just waits for them to start to attack him, and he puts 4 Zealots into that and just drops it into the main.
Yeah, even in his PvP against Snow, he's like targeting Dragoons instead of Reavers. Here, he's building a shuttle earlier than I think a lot of people would say that you should build it, and then just saving it for when he knows he uses it. It's clear that Rain really thinks about the way to play Protoss differently and clearly better than a lot of the traditional thought out there.
And also, what's funny is, it kind of makes sense, because you don't need that many observers. You don't need to be making them the whole game. You have minerals. I mean, minerals are not a problem for the Protoss at a PvZ. So, yeah, I mean, why would you not just have a shuttle then and just be ready? And look, if they're not attacking you and you're taking a 3rd, then you're winning anyways. So you don't need to use a shuttle. If they are attacking you, then you just pull that reversal and drop it into their base and storm everything. And you don't even have to micro the Zealots that much. You just unload them, and they're going to do damage.
And they're kind of like, what is it? Is it OxyClean that you set and forget? Or is that the, I forget what Billy Mays was advertising. But that's
I don't know.
That's what you do with those Zealots. You just set them and forget them. That's right.
Yeah, it's like a, what is it, like a pressure cooker or something?
Is that what it is? Was it Billy
I don't know what
Mays
OxyClean is. I have no idea what that is.
Oh, well, OxyClean, I forget what the tagline is for that, but it's another one of those bad infomercials.
I love bad infomercials.
They're so good. They're so bad, they're good.
No, I mean, he plays that game in such a way that you can see the flow of PvZ. You see exactly what needs to be done for you to take on a Zerg like that, at least the 6-hatch Hydra style.
Right.
Which has been beating a lot of Protosses for some time now.
And I just don't know, like, it's easy for us to say, well, I don't know why there wasn't any other style brought out there, but I think the way that Rain plays is so solid that it really eliminates a lot of other possibilities, whether it's like early aggressive Hydra play or, heaven forbid you get like a Ling bust or anything super crazy early on. He just suffocates you.
Yeah, he really does. And I'm trying to figure out what Zero could have done better, but ultimately it comes down to a style of play that the Zerg's using where he's trying to simply end the game at a specific point. And usually, as is true with all of StarCraft, if someone's trying that approach, you simply have to outlast them for that moment. And for a long period of time, it seems like Protosses didn't know how to do that, and with Rain, it seems like he really does know how to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So that means that Rain in all of his resplendent glory advances on to the grand finals, and we have one more best of 7 coming up to talk about.
That's right, and
looks like it's going to take
about 40 minutes from now.
Yeah.
That'll be starting at 8 p.m. KST, but that should be, I think, certainly a closer series than the one that we're having right now.
Honestly, it could be pretty one-sided either way. Like, Light, who's the Terran player, is a TvZ god. He's probably the best TvZ player we've seen out there. I mean, we're kind of putting that asterisk excluding Flash, but for...
well, he's not in this tournament right now,
that's right.
I mean, he looks like the best TvZ for this tournament by a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And he's also just really matured as a player, which is hard to say because he's been playing for 20 years.
And Soma is a player who is the new blood.
Oh, yeah.
Being injected into
the new kid on the block.
This is one of the other things that's so exciting about StarCraft Remastered is that you can see new players rising up, new styles rising up. This game is not stuck in a repetitious cycle that is not changing, where new developments aren't happening. And so let's see how well Soma can actually play here. Again, Light is mechanically very gifted, even when the strategy seems to be working for the Zerg. Generally speaking, the mechanics of the Terran, if you're Light, will push through and drive this to a win. So I want to see what opening Soma's going to do and how Soma's going to handle the pushes coming from Light.
Yeah, well, it's clear that if you watch Queen or Zero play, that's one way to handle Zerg, and obviously it's a different matchup, but Soma's style compared to Zero's is night and day. He's all about pulling out these sneaky mind games. In his games in the quarterfinals, you saw him do all of these crazy, like, fake early aggressive builds where he'd, like, hide a hatchery in his main and then pretend like he's all inning and then just power on drones. He's got so much in under the hood that it's hard to think about a player like Light who might be good in that matchup, but he's guarantee you nobody plays like Soma does. So a lot of really cool hype behind this brand new amateur player who's never played professionally before this tournament.
There's not a lot of data when you compare him to Light. I mean, this game is now so old and so storied that usually we have well over a decade of information about a player, but Soma really is pretty fresh on the scene.
Yeah.
I don't know how Light has prepared for this. He seems to me almost like a player that prepares for the maps and the matchups more than the opponent. But anyways, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the other half of today's games, and that'll be happening in about 40 minutes. Don't go away.